Along with Luya's enlightenment, the thunder patterns on the surface of his body gradually converged from chaos, much like a series of pattern arrays distributed over his body, and a purple thunder scar also appeared on his forehead, carrying an indescribable dignity. As the heavenly thunder Jade body technique took shape, Luya's physical body improved at a rapidly visible rate. Tempered by heavenly thunder, amidst the transformation of the Tao spiritual energy vortex, it seemed almost without any waste. All of it was put to use in refining his body. Outside Ling Luo Peak, a crowd of peak masters, elders, and inner sect disciples watched Lu Yi, who was bathed in thunder, with complete astonishment on their faces. Wu Qingfeng took notice of the thunder patterns that were forming on the surface of Lu Yi's body, feeling uncertain. What is Lu Yi doing? Elder Wang's eyes almost popped out as he exclaimed, "Sudden enlightenment. Did this kid just have another sudden enlightenment?" No, isn't this kid in the middle of crossing his tribulation, struck by thunder yet still suddenly enlightened? Is there any justice in this world? Dong Wanglian expressed his inability to understand, his face filled with life's doubts. He wondered if he had been cultivating the wrong path all along. Why was his experience completely different from Lu Yi's? It's not just sudden enlightenment, this kid. He's actually using the heavenly thunder to grasp the thunder intent, and this thunder intent seems far from weak, possibly even catching up to sword intent, huh? If Elder Ming knew about this, I wonder what kind of expression he would have. Elder Chuan's old face was shocked, as he was the guardian of the trial tower and didn't need to be confined to the book storage pavilion like Elder Ming. At the moment, he too had come over to join the excitement. Lu Yi's understanding of thunder intent doesn't seem to be newly grasped. When did he come to understand it? Wondered an elder with a numb expression. A Qi cultivation realm cultivator, who has comprehended sword intent, has even grasped thunder intent. The Ling Luo Peak Master glanced at Lu Yi and then at Donggong Mingyue, raising an eyebrow. This bratty kid spars with little Minju every day. He probably gained some insight through that process. Donggong Mingyue. Her face had a clueless expression. Ah, junior brother understood thunder intent while sparring with me. Why couldn't she comprehend sword intent when she felt it every day? Something didn't quite add up here, right? Hold on, something's not quite right. Yulan Peak Master observed the strange fluctuations that were beginning to emerge on Lu Yi, her pupils slightly constricted, and a look of shock appeared on her graceful and beautiful face. The Golden Core cultivators and nascent soul realm disciples and elders all had a feeling, and their expressions changed. Even the Ling Luo Peak Master was dumbstruck, staring at Lu Yi, whose body was beginning to exude primordial destructive power, and said, "This is serious, this kid, in the midst of sudden enlightenment, using heavenly thunder and thunder intent, is actually comprehending a cultivation technique. Jade body technique. This young fellow is practicing the Jade body technique, which I have heard Elder Ming mention. However, has he already cultivated it to such an extent? What kind of talent is this? No, the Jade body technique itself should not be so powerful by rights. It is undergoing a transformation under the influence of the heavenly thunder and thunder intent, turning into a new cultivation technique. The many nascent soul and golden core cultivators, with their extensive knowledge, talked amongst themselves and then all understood what was happening, looking at Lu Yi with disbelief. Wu Qingfeng was somewhat astounded. Lu Yi, he's actually grasped a body refining technique amidst the heavenly tribulation. The crowd looked at one another. Judging by the level of the technique, it's probably not low, it may even be of golden core standard. Yulan Peak Master spoke faintly, glancing at the Ling Luo Peak Master beside her, feeling a bit envious inside. It wasn't just Yulan Peak Master. The other Peak Masters, and even Wu Qingfeng, all looked at the Ling Luo Peak Master with envy. What an exceptional talent. From the Qi cultivation realm to the foundation establishment realm, he has actually comprehended his own cultivation technique. A nascent soul elder sighed. This child's talent has even surpassed that of Liu Ningxuan. Such talent is unheard of, unseen before. No wonder he encountered heavenly tribulation in the Qi cultivation realm. He truly has the air of an ancient peerless talent. Wu Qingfeng looked deeply at Lu Yi, then turned to the Ling Luo Peak Master and said, "Junior sister Ling Luo, you've seen Lu Yi's talent yourself. From now on, the White Cloud sect will provide unlimited cultivation resources for Lu Yi. Anything you need, just come to me." Ling Luo Peak Master lazily said, "My direct disciple naturally has unlimited resources, but I'm afraid there are some things he might want to cultivate with that even the White Cloud sect doesn't have. Wu Qingfeng firmly stated, if the White Cloud sect doesn't have it, I personally will go out and find it for Lu Yi. I might be willing to step out as well. I do have some stores on hand, and if Lu Yi needs something, he can just ask. One by one, the nascent soul elders, even those at the divinity transformation realm, spoke up. Ling Luo Peak Master glanced at the people around her and said leisurely, you need not trouble yourselves over my disciple, and besides, if I can't obtain something, what makes you think you can? Everyone fell silent at once. Ling Luo Peak Master was right. Her talents were exceptional, and her strength was unfathomable. If there was something she didn't have, they probably wouldn't be able to get it either. The disciples looked on as the elders scrambled and fought over resources to offer to Lu Yi, turning green with envy. If only I had junior brother Lu's talents, how great that would be. Chapter 108-82, Creating My Own Cultivation Technique 3. How the hell do you dare to dream so big? You want to comprehend cultivation techniques in the Qi cultivation realm. If I could comprehend such cultivation techniques in the nascent soul realm like junior brother Lu, I'd be ecstatic. Forget it, didn't you hear what the elders said? Junior brother had already grasped the thunder intent before. Comprehending sword intent and thunder intent in the Qi cultivation realm, who could do that? Let's not even talk about conception, okay? In the Qi cultivation realm, who can attract heavenly tribulation? At these words, many disciples fell silent. It hit too close to home. They couldn't even attract the basic heavenly tribulation, so what future did they have? Zai Tianming looked at Lu Yi in the midst of the thunder power and sighed. I'm convinced of junior brother Lu's talent. He glanced at the rigid-faced Wang Tianzan with a mischievous smile and said, what do you think? My junior brother is pretty good, right? Wang Tianzan's mouth twitched violently as he glanced at Zai Tianming. I admit that junior brother Lu is indeed exceptionally talented, far beyond me, but what are you Zai Tianming? Aren't we on the same level? While you're getting defensive, Wang Tianzan himself is actually swearing. Shut your mouth. During the exchange among the crowd, the heavenly tribulation was drawing to a close, and Lu Yi absorbed the last bolt of thunder. The dark clouds in the sky became tranquil, and then slowly dissipated. The sky cleared up once again. Lu Yi was immersed in the realm of heavenly thunder, and suddenly lost the sensation of the lightning bolts. He blinked, opening his eyes. Then he saw the dark clouds had already dispersed, and his face fell. That's it. This heavenly tribulation wasn't intense enough. If there were a few more rounds, his understanding of the thunder intent would nearly reach 40%, and moreover, he could continue perfecting and enhancing his heavenly thunder Jade body technique. Lu Yi felt somewhat unsatisfied. Just then, several figures appeared beside Lu Yi. Hearing Lu Yi's words, everyone's faces stiffened. While others considered heavenly tribulation to be as fierce as a tiger, this kid seemed to be addicted to being struck by heavenly thunder. Ling Luo Peak Master looked at Lu Yi, surrounded by fearsome power, and nodded with satisfaction. Not bad, a good aptitude indeed. My judgment is exceptional. Master Wu Qingfeng walked over, speaking with a beaming smile. Lu Yi, you've done well. As the sect leader of White Cloud Sect, Wu Qingfeng was naturally recognized by Lu Yi, who had lived in White Cloud Sect for so long. He quickly bowed and said, I pay my respects to the sect leader. No need for such formalities. If you need anything in the future, just let the sect know. You just need to focus on your cultivation. Listening to the words of several people, Lu Yi had a sudden realization. They must have seen him comprehending the cultivation techniques before. Lu Yi smiled and said, Thank you, sect leader. I will cultivate diligently. A group of elders also offered their congratulations to Lu Yi on his breakthrough to the Foundation establishment realm. As for the other disciples, they were all pushed outside and could only watch from a distance. Lu Yi responded with a smile to each one. It wasn't until the Ling Luo Peak Master cited Lu Yi's recent breakthrough and the need to consolidate his cultivation base as a reason to chase away all the elders and disciples, even including sect leader Wu Qingfeng. The previously bustling area was left with only Lu Yi, Ling Luo Peak Master, and his disciple Donggong Ming Yue. Ling Luo Peak Master yawned, patted Lu Yi on the shoulder and said, Not bad, you've broken through to the Foundation establishment realm. But Foundation establishment is only the beginning. There's still a long way to go. Don't slack off now. Lu Yi nodded seriously. I'll heed Master's teachings. Ling Luo Peak Master stretched lazily. Since that's the case, your teacher will take her leave. All this effort has exhausted me. Before she finished speaking, her body had already disappeared. Left behind were Lu Yi and Donggong Mingyue. Donggong Mingyue looked at Lu Yi, her eyes twinkling like stars. Senior brother, you're too amazing to actually comprehend cultivation techniques in the midst of heavenly tribulation. She was starting to idolize her own senior brother, so impressive. Lu Yi smiled proudly. As the senior brother to future immortal, naturally, I must be a genius. Tilda's senior brother's words are perfect. This young lady will certainly be an immortal in the future. Donggong Mingyue beamed with pride. Then she looked at Lu Yi expectantly. Senior brother, what is the body refinement technique you've comprehended? Can you teach me? I want to learn too. Lu Yi smiled. You learning it would indeed be suitable. After all, the heavenly thunder jade body technique required thunder power to cultivate and could even leverage thunder power to accelerate the technique's advancement speed. It could be said that the most suitable candidates were those with the innate thunder spirit body and those who comprehended thunder intent. Lu Yi thought it wouldn't be bad to teach Donggong Mingyue either. At that moment, Lu Yi suddenly had another idea and mused to himself. I shall teach junior sister the heavenly thunder jade body technique. Task: teach Donggong Mingyue the heavenly thunder jade body technique. Reward: enhancement of thunder intent, 5 drops of millennium spirit dew. Accept yes no. Is it really possible? And the reward isn't bad either. Lu Yi felt he had discovered a new channel for tasks. He accepted the task and said with a smile, let's go to my cave mansion. I'll teach you step by step. Donggong Mingyue nodded happily. All right, senior brother. It must be said that Donggong Mingyue's talent was indeed quite impressive. In addition, with her innate thunder spirit body being particularly suited for the heavenly thunder jade body technique, she soon made progress. However, during cultivation, some physical contact was inevitable, leading Donggong Mingyue to become embarrassed and flee with a flushed face. Lu Yi was also rather helpless since he hadn't written down the exact techniques, and some points along the route required hands-on teaching to prevent accidents. It seems like he'll have to find an opportunity to record the technique in the future. However, the task had been completed. Regular teaching and sparring sessions would provide rewards, which wasn't too bad. Lu Yi was quite delighted inside. Then he began to inventory the gains from this breakthrough. The primary rewards were for breaking through to a new realm, amounting to 2 artifacts, the low-grade ice silk boots and the mid-grade profound sun sword. The ice silk boots were a pair of pure white boots with slender blue patterns on them, looking extremely elegant and beautiful. Of course, beauty wasn't the main draw. As low-grade treasures, they naturally had impressive functions. They could not only increase speed but could also convert spiritual energy into frosty air, producing an ice mist that, at critical moments, could affect an opponent's ability to move. As a mid-grade treasure, the profound sun sword was naturally even more powerful, containing profound sun power, which greatly enhanced the might of spiritual energy, far surpassing the green spirit sword gifted by his master. Regarding the other items, they were quite splendid treasures as well. The 3 leaves of enlightenment tea went without saying. Lu Yi could use them to improve his comprehension. The specified skill level increase caught Lu Yi's eye as he had just broken through to the foundation establishment realm and planned to cultivate the immortal sword scripture. Given the difficulty of cultivating immortal scriptures, the immortal sword scripture was likely extremely challenging, but this specified boost would save him a great deal of effort. Chapter 109-83, Condensing the Immortal Sword Seed. Lu Yi didn't immediately use the chance to raise his skill level, deciding instead to wait until he hit a bottleneck in cultivating the immortal sword scripture, hoping for a better effect. Apart from the task reward for breaking through to the foundation establishment realm, Lu Yi's greatest achievement was the body refining technique he created himself, Heavenly Thunder Jade Body Technique. The Heavenly Thunder Jade Body Technique used the Jade Body Technique as its foundation and tempered the body with the power of Heavenly Thunder, making it a golden core realm body refining technique. However, Lu Yi felt that this was not the true limit of the Heavenly Thunder Jade Body Technique. How could a technique that used Heavenly Thunder to temper the body be so simple? It was just that his foundation was not enough at the moment. Being only at the foundation establishment realm, he lacked sufficient experience and insight to comprehend higher-level techniques. Lu Yi was not in a hurry. he would continue to break through in the future. When he broke through to the golden core realm and once again invoked the heavenly tribulation, he could also continue to strengthen the heavenly thunder jade body technique. Apart from enhancing his physical body, the heavenly thunder jade body technique also possessed a powerful explosive secret technique, thunder pattern entwined, capable of unleashing power far beyond his own strength. This made the heavenly thunder jade body technique quite extraordinary. Of course, for Lu Yi, what was truly precious was the insight gained from creating his own technique, which gave him great confidence. Even though he was currently just at the foundation establishment realm, the Taoist skills he mastered could still create a golden core realm body refining technique, with the Tao right before his eyes. With the help of heavenly thunder power, Lu Yi directly cultivated the heavenly thunder jade body technique to level 3. At this moment, his body became extremely powerful, even surpassing the jade body technique at its extreme level, which was no small achievement. After summarizing what he had learned, Lu Yi calmed his mind. As his master said, foundation establishment was just the beginning of the path to immortality, and he needed to continue working hard. He was still a novice. He took out the skin book and began to peruse the Immortal sword scripture. This was the cultivation technique he would practice for a long time to come. Lu Yi set a task for himself to roughly skim through the Immortal sword scripture, gaining a certain understanding of it. The essence of the Immortal sword scripture was to condense an immortal sword seed within the Danshan, nurturing immortal sword qi with the sword seed. The cultivated sword qi was extremely tough and powerful, possessing unimaginable might. Unfortunately, this technique could only reach the nascent soul realm. As Lu Yi examined the technique, the Taoist spirit energy vortex in his body faintly swirled with 7 colored lights, and the Tao sound echoed in his mind. Lu Yi vaguely grasped the subtleties of the Immortal sword scripture and already had some enlightenment. This greatly surprised Lu Yi. During the breakthrough of the heavenly tribulation, he had realized something was unusual with the spiritual energy vortex in his body, which seemed to enhance his comprehension of Taoist skills. Initially in the midst of heavenly thunder, it was like this that Lu Yi managed to swiftly advance in the thunder intent realm. Was this the effect of the Taoist energy? Lu Yi thought back to when he obtained the Taoist energy, remembering it could make one more attuned to the Tao and intuitive about Taoist skills. He had used a total of 8 strands of Taoist energy to establish his foundation, and the effects were indeed exceptional. Lu Yi felt elated. With such a Taoist foundation, if his comprehension could improve a bit more, even the immortal scriptures wouldn't be too difficult to grasp. With this thought, Lu Yi took out a piece of enlightenment tea and brewed a pot. The leaves of enlightenment tea floated in the center of the water, and the steam rising carried a rich fragrance as if Tao Yun was faintly emerging. Lu Yi took a sip and instantly felt his mind clear, thoughts surging like waves. He sipped tea while reading, meticulously studying the Immortal sword scripture. A week later, Lu Yi sat cross-legged, a strand of golden sword pattern emerging on his forehead, his body radiating sharp sword intent. Within Lu Yi's body, above the spiritual energy vortex that contained the 7-colored rosy clouds, a small golden sword floated slowly. It was the Immortal sword seed. Lu Yi had been studying the Immortal sword scripture day and night, and had finally made some progress. Today, he had condensed the Immortal sword seed and thoroughly entered the doorway of the Immortal sword scripture. One should know, this was an immortal scripture, and to cultivate to the entry level in just 7 days was enough to shock anyone. After condensing the Immortal sword seed, Lu Yi found a difference from the immortal scriptures. Logically, by condensing the Immortal sword seed, one could completely transform one's spiritual energy into immortal sword qi, but that didn't happen in his Danshan. The 7-colored vortex was still present, shining brightly, with the Immortal sword seed only floating on the exterior, unable even to merge with it. This made Lu Yi's expression somewhat strange. It seemed that the spiritual energy vortex, fused with Taoist energy, was much more powerful than the Immortal sword seed. However, Lu Yi discovered that if he operated his spiritual energy through the Immortal sword seed, he could still transform his spiritual energy into immortal sword qi. The Immortal sword qi had a powerful force of slaughter, extremely domineering, and if combined with sword Tao skills, its power would increase immensely. Lu Yi was very satisfied with this. After condensing the Immortal sword seed, Lu Yi fully consolidated his realm. The spiritual energy vortex in his body was like a black hole, crazily absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy. Once operated, even Millennium Spirit Dew could not support it for long. Fortunately, he had a new task to obtain Millennium Spirit Dew, otherwise he would have run out. However, this was not a sustainable solution. He still needed to find new tasks and channels. Moreover, he had to quickly help his junior sister to increase her strength so that the task rewards could be more and better. Should his junior sister advance to the Foundation establishment realm, the task rewards would probably be myriad spirit dew, right? Unfortunately, although Lu Yi often provided Donggong Mingyue with resources, which were far beyond what she had used before, she had only just broken through to the Qi Cultivation 12th layer, still a considerable distance from Foundation establishment. Chapter 110, 83, Condensing the Immortal Sword Seed 2. That day, Lu Yi was cultivating when Donggong Mingyue suddenly came looking for him, saying that their master had something to discuss with them. Curious about what it could be, Lu Yi followed Donggong Mingyue to the top of Ling Luo Peak, where they saw the bamboo house door open. The Ling Luo Peak master was lounging on a reclining chair as usual, looking indifferent. What surprised Lu Yi was that Liu Ningxuang had also returned, seated to one side. Lu Yi asked with some surprise, "Senior sister Ningxuang, you're back." Upon seeing Lu Yi, Liu Ningxuang's cool face lit up with a faint smile as she nodded. "Yes, I've just returned. Junior brother Lu, congratulations on breaking through to the Foundation establishment realm. I heard you even triggered a heavenly tribulation. That's truly impressive." Liu Ningxuang had just arrived back at the sect and already heard discussions about Lu Yi's breakthrough to the Foundation establishment realm. Her junior brother had actually caused a heavenly tribulation while breaking through, and he even invented his own cultivation technique. This shocked Liu Ningxuang. Even at her level in the Qi cultivation realm, she wasn't that strong, and when she had broken through to the Foundation establishment realm, she hadn't triggered a heavenly tribulation. Lu Yi replied with an embarrassed smile, "You flatter me, senior sister." Donggong Mingyue chuckled and patted Lu Yi's shoulder. "Brother, you're too modest. You just have incredible talent." At this moment, the Ling Luo Peak master yawned and said, "If you have anything else to say, save it for later. I need to discuss something with the two of you." Lu Yi and Donggong Mingyue looked at the Ling Luo Peak master curiously. Ling Luo Peak master spoke up, "The centennial opening of the East Forest ruins is just 1 year away. Our White Cloud sect has 20 spots. Before the ruins open, the sect will hold a minor competition. Only Foundation establishment disciples who pass the competition can enter. Lu Yi, you have already established your foundation, and with your talent and strength there shouldn't be any problem. I just wanted to inform you, whether you go or not is up to you. As for little Minju." She turned to Donggong Mingyue and said, "Your cultivation base has indeed improved quite a bit recently. You've reached the Qi Cultivation 12th layer. Decide for yourself whether to aim for the Qi Cultivation 13th layer or to break through within the year." On hearing this, Donggong Mingyue's expression turned serious, and she nodded, "I understand, master." As Lu Yi listened to what the Ling Luo Peak master said, realization dawned in his heart. Was it already time for the East Forest ruins to open? The East Forest ruins, Lu Yi had heard of them several times within the White Cloud sect. Discover hidden stories at Empire. This was an ancient site in Qingzhou with quite a reputation, a battlefield from long ago where the human clan and the demon clan had clashed. In ancient times, the battles of great powers had disturbed the spiritual energy, causing spatial rifts and creating an independent small world, where even the rules differed from those of the Tiananmen continent. Only cultivators below Foundation establishment could enter. Within the ruins lay numerous precious medicinal herbs and heavenly materials and earthly treasures. For instance, there were such treasures that could solidify one's foundations or even improve the patterns of a golden core. Moreover, as a battlefield between the human and demon clans, it was likely that many powerful cultivators had left behind cultivation treasures and legacies. It all depended on whether one had the luck to find them. If one found a powerful legacy, soaring to the heavens was not necessarily impossible. Each time the ruins opened, they attracted a large number of cultivators. Of course, the East Forest ruins were located in the regions controlled by the White Cloud sect, Blood Spirit sect, Cold Winter Valley, 10,000 Flowers sect, and Heavenly Snake sect. These 5 sects jointly controlled it. Each time the ruins opened, the sects would clean the area beforehand and send their most elite disciples to plunder. The disciples naturally aspired to enter and obtain resources, making the competition extremely fierce. Thinking this over, Lu Yi felt a bit of excitement. Based on his experience, such events definitely gave rise to tasks, and the rewards were quite substantial. Indeed, his current resources were running low. While they were enough for now, once his cultivation base grew higher and he began to challenge the heavenly Tao limitation of the Foundation establishment realm, they might not suffice. Yes, even the Foundation establishment realm had 3 layers of heavenly Tao restrictions, and Lu Yi naturally aimed to break all 3. The resources needed for this were considerable. Lu Yi mused to himself, I want to participate in the Foundation establishment competition. Task: participate in the Foundation establishment competition and receive rewards based on the ranking. Accept yes, no. Lu Yi continued to himself, I want to enter the East Forest ruins. Task: enter the East Forest ruins. Reward: 30 drops of myriad spirit dew. Accept yes, no. Upon seeing the reward, Lu Yi was immediately tempted. Now that he had broken through to the Foundation establishment realm, his cultivation resources were becoming somewhat strained. He finally had new rewards within reach. Lu Yi decisively accepted the task. This was just the reward for entering the East Forest ruins. Just imagine how much more he could earn from completing a few tasks within. The prospect filled Lu Yi with anticipation. He spoke with a smile, Master, I've decided to go to the East Forest ruins. The Ling Luo Peak Master nodded slightly. If that is the case, then you should prepare well. Try to enhance your strength before entering, as the ruins are filled with dangers. Even with your exceptional talent, you must be cautious. Lu Yi nodded earnestly. I understand, Master. The Ling Luo Peak Master nodded and then asked, have you encountered any difficulties with cultivating the Immortal Sword Scripture lately? Although I haven't cultivated the Immortal Sword Scripture myself, I should still be able to give you some advice. Lu Yi said with a smile, the cultivation is going quite smoothly. I have just condensed the Immortal Sword Seed. The Ling Luo Peak Master. Her expression froze for a moment, and then she waved her hand, off you go, off you go. Chapter 111, 83, Condensing the Immortal Sword Seed 3. Damn genius. The Ling Luo Peak Master muttered to himself. Having such a disciple took all the fun out of being a master. Lu Yi paused for a moment, thought about it, and then said, Master, is there anything I can help with? Running errands to buy alcohol, or cleaning the bamboo house? Since he was there, Lu Yi always felt that he was missing out if he didn't get a few tasks. However, as soon as the Ling Luo Peak Master heard Lu Yi mention cleaning the bamboo house, he gave him a long look, waved his hand, and Lu Yi was immediately thrown out of the bamboo house. Cultivate properly. Donggong Mingyue and Liu Ningxuang both looked at the Ling Luo Peak Master with some confusion, not understanding why he suddenly lost his temper. Noticing their expressions, the Ling Luo Peak Master slowly said, you two also go back and cultivate properly. Liu Ningxuang bowed and said, disciple takes her leave. Donggong Mingyue also spoke with a giggling smile, Master, your disciple is off. After the two left the bamboo house, they saw Lu Yi emerging from the bamboo forest, his face covered in dust. Lu Yi was secretly annoyed with himself, having forgotten the last time he cleaned the room for his master. Next time he couldn't mention cleaning the bamboo house, or he might not even receive any tasks. Donggong Mingyue came over with some confusion and asked, Senior brother, what did you do to make master angry? Her little face showed surprise. This is the first time I've ever seen master get angry. Even Liu Ningxuang beside her nodded lightly and glanced at the now-closed door of the bamboo house. Me too. Before Lu Yi could say anything, he felt a faint surge of pressure gathering around him, and with a twitch of his mouth, he chuckled dryly, maybe it's because master didn't rest well. Let's go down quickly. Donggong Mingyue felt that things weren't so simple. Her big eyes darted around, glanced at Lu Yi, and then without asking further, she said, let's go then. By the way, since senior sister Ningxuang is rarely back, how about we gather at senior brother's place for a meal? What do you say, senior brother? Lu Yi glanced at Donggong Mingyue, saw her swallowing saliva incessantly, and spoke somewhat speechlessly. You just want to eat spirit food, don't you? Donggong Mingyue just laughed heartily. Liu Ningxuang asked with some confusion, spirit food? What spirit food? Lu Yi smiled. Senior sister has been out on tasks for a while. During this time, your junior brother learned some spirit food and spiritual wine formulas in his spare time. Liu Ningxuang's cool face showed a hint of surprise. She glanced at Lu Yi and said with a light laugh, "Then can your senior sister have a taste?" "If senior sister is interested, of course she can." "Great, let's go then. Let's have a feast." Donggong Mingyue was the happiest and laughed cheerfully. When the three of them arrived at Lu Yi's cave mansion, Lu Yi brought out some spirit food, which included tiger bone spirit ginseng soup and charcoal grilled meat, along with 2 types of spirit food he was rewarded with from the trial tower: crystal dumplings and jade bamboo roasted chicken. After eating crystal dumplings, one could temporarily increase their spiritual energy cultivation for a short time, but as the spiritual energy in the spirit food was consumed, the cultivation would return to normal. This effect naturally wasn't as dramatic as that of explosive-type elixirs, but the advantage was that the spirit food's effects were gentle, with no side effects. Jade bamboo roasted chicken was a rarer detoxifying spirit food. Eating it regularly could even improve resistance to toxins, making it quite precious. Both types of spirit food are of the Foundation establishment realm, which means even Donggong Mingyue can eat them. As for the spiritual wine, it's still the concentrating spirit dew. He hasn't obtained any other recipes for spiritual wine. The effect of the concentrating spirit dew on enhancing spiritual power has become quite weak for him. Find exclusive stories on Empire. His spiritual power has continuously been on the brink of transformation, just one step away from making the leap. Yet unfortunately, there are no other treasures to help him with this transformation. Lu Yi felt somewhat helpless, but he wasn't in a hurry, as there was plenty of time. Several types of spirit food and spiritual wine were taken out, their rich aroma spreading. Liu Ningxuang's pretty face showed surprise as she looked incredulously at Lu Yi. "Did you cook all these, junior brother?" Donggong Mingyue, proud with her hands on her hips, boasted, "Yes, that's right, it was senior brother who made them. His culinary skills are really good." Looking at her proud expression, those who didn't know better might think she had made them. Lu Yi nodded and smiled. When I have spare time I practice cooking. Senior sister, please have a taste." Liu Ningxuang took a sip of the milky white tiger bone spirit ginseng soup with a spoon, feeling the warm current flowing subtly through her body, and she softly praised, "What a powerful effect." To know, she was already at the nascent soul realm, and she could faintly feel a hint of the effects of spiritual energy. The tiger bone spirit ginseng soup was only for the Qi cultivation realm, so one could imagine just how strong the effect of this spirit food was. Junior brother's talent is indeed amazing. Not only is your cultivation talent strong, I didn't expect you to have such a gift for cooking spirit food as well. Lu Yi smiled slightly. For someone of senior sister's cultivation base, these spirit foods aren't very useful, they just satisfy the palate really. If you like them, eat more. Liu Ningxuang nodded gently, All 3 of them were the direct disciples of the Ling Luo Peak Master, which made them the closest of all senior and junior brothers and sisters. They chatted while eating together. Being the weakest in strength, Donggong Mingyue found the spiritual energy within the spirit food tremendously nourishing. Not having eaten much, she already had a flushed face and began sweating all over, feeling like she was overnourished. As a result, Donggong Mingyue hurriedly entered Lu Yi's cultivation room to begin assimilating it. Meanwhile, Lu Yi and Liu Ningxuang continued to eat. With a wave of his hand, Lu Yi made the wine pot float up on the table automatically, filling Liu Ningxuang's cup with concentrating spirit dew. After drinking it, Liu Ningxuang exclaimed, "This concentrating spirit dew of junior brothers is really good. If senior sister had this when I was at the Qi cultivation realm, perhaps I could have broken through to the Foundation establishment realm even sooner. Little Minju is quite lucky." Lu Yi laughed. "Senior sister flatters me. In the future, if I am fortunate enough to come across more advanced spirit food formulas, I will then prepare some suitable spirit food for you, senior sister." Liu Ningxuang looked at Lu Yi and gave a coy smile. "Then senior sister will thank junior brother in advance." Lu Yi poured another full cup of wine for Liu Ningxuang and said, "By the way, senior sister, what task did you take on this time that took so long?" Liu Ningxuang spoke indifferently. A nascent soul realm snake demon was causing chaos within the territory of the White Cloud sect. That snake demon was extremely wily. I pursued it for quite some time and nearly let it escape the eastern domain before I managed to kill it. Lu Ye. Poor snake demon, considering how vast the eastern domain is, tens of millions of miles from White Cloud sect territory to the border, it was chased that far. Nevertheless, the relationship between the demon clan and the human clan has never been good. with many great wars in history. That snake demon was within the territory of the human clan, yet instead of laying low, it dared to cause trouble, truly not afraid of death. Chapter 112, 84 Water in Tint Realm. Lu Yi chuckled lightly. Elder sister is exceedingly strong, I toast to elder sister. The two drank and chatted away until Donggong Ming Yue finished refining the effects of the medicine, which marked the end of the gathering. Afterward, the three went their separate ways, and Lu Yi continued with his cultivation. In the time that followed, Lu Yi cultivated steadily, and it's worth mentioning that due to the extraordinary talent he had shown, the sect had made an exception for him, allowing him to focus on cultivation without the need to undertake sect tasks. In fact, the elders and the sect leader of the White Cloud sect even preferred that Lu Yi not venture out too much. After all, the Blood Spirit sect and the White Cloud sect were still at war, with disciples from both sides engaging in chaotic battles within the territory of the White Cloud sect every day. Given Lu Yi's remarkable talent, it would be a great loss for the White Cloud sect if he encountered any danger while outside. This was naturally good news for Lu Yi, as it spared him the trouble of performing sect tasks. Having broken through to the Foundation establishment realm from the Qi Cultivation 13th layer, and with his foundation built upon the Taoist energy, Lu Yi's roots were exceptionally solid, making his cultivation speed within the Foundation establishment realm extremely fast. Moreover, cultivating with the Millennium Spirit Dew and using an immortal scripture as his cultivation technique, Lu Yi made a breakthrough to the second-level Foundation establishment within merely a month. After another 2 months, he broke through to the Foundation establishment third layer. 1 year later, Lu Yi's cultivation base had reached the Foundation establishment fifth layer, a feat almost inconceivable to other cultivators. For an average cultivator in the Foundation establishment realm, breaking through a minor realm in 10 years was already an occasion for celebration, let alone for such an astonishing speed of cultivation seen in a genius cultivator. On this particular day, within Lu Yi's cave mansion, Lu Yi sat cross-legged, surrounded by strands of dense spiritual energy, along with transparent sword qi circling around him. A moment later, the sword qi dissipated, and the spiritual energy gradually subsided. Lu Yi opened his eyes. He exhaled a breath of turbid air, stood up, stretched lazily, and revealed a smile. It's finally time. Today was the day of the Foundation establishment competition, to select those who would enter the East Forest ruins. Enjoy more content from Empire. Lu Yi felt no pressure. His gains over the past year had been enormous. Besides reaching the Foundation establishment fifth layer in terms of cultivation base, he had also made significant progress in other aspects. He trained in the Qi Cultivation chapter of the Immortal Sword Scripture, refining the foundation of his White Cloud Qi refining art again, and also studied the Foundation establishment chapter, using almost all of the opportunities for sudden enlightenment he received from his master each month on this, upgrading it to a level 6, or the returning true realm. It is noteworthy that the Immortal Sword Scripture is an immortal scripture, and to train its Foundation establishment chapter, the returning true realm in just 1 year is a rarity. The cultivation efficiency of the Immortal Sword Scripture Foundation building chapter at the returning true realm was extremely high, which was one of the significant reasons why Lu Yi could break through successive realms and reach the Foundation establishment fifth layer within a single year. Not just in terms of speed, but the Immortal Sword Qi condensed through the Immortal Sword Scripture at the returning true realm was also exceedingly fearsome, far surpassing the White Cloud Qi refining art at the initial limit realm. Besides, Lu Yi had trained the 7 mysterious sword skill, a golden core skill, to a level 8, and its power was immense, though he had not yet tried it out. However, it was unlikely to be weak. The golden core secret skill, transformation technique, was also a focus of Lu Yi's training, but due to its difficulty and not having used opportunities for sudden enlightenment on it, it had only reached a level 6. Lu Yi practiced the Heavenly Thunder Jade body technique every day as well. While his body refining resources were somewhat inferior to Qi cultivation resources, fortunately, the Heavenly Thunder Jade body technique could be enhanced through Thunder Intent Realm, augmented by blood essence pills. Although the speed was not exceedingly fast, it was acceptable, and now he had reached a level 5. In addition, Lu Yi cultivated several Foundation establishment realm cultivation skills. Owing to his exceptional talent, the White Cloud sect had unconditionally opened the book storage pavilion to him, allowing him to access any cultivation skill he needed for cultivation at any time. It could be said that at this moment, Lu Yi's strength had reached a considerable level. If he went all out, even he did not know how strong he might be. Stepping out of his cave mansion, Lu Yi saw a streak of sword light flash by, landing outside the cave mansion. It was Liu Ningxuang. Liu Ningxuang, dressed in white with a cool beauty, showed a faint smile upon seeing Lu Yi. "Junior brother, are you ready?" Lu Yi nodded slightly, yes. Over the year, Liu Ningxuang had not ventured out much, and her periods of seclusion were not long. The two had many opportunities for interaction. Additionally, with Donggong Mingyue, the lively mood maker, they would get together from time to time for meals, and their relationship had become much closer than before. "With your strength, it shouldn't be a problem," Liu Ningxuang nodded slightly. As they were talking, Donggong Mingyue also ran over, grinning and saying, "Senior brother, you must do your best today." In the end, Donggong Mingyue decided not to break through to Foundation establishment, but planned to continue honing her foundation and break through to the Qi Cultivation 13th layer. This was a decision critical to her future achievements and was not to be taken lightly. If this had been before, reaching the Qi Cultivation 12th layer would have satisfied Donggong Mingyue, but now, with the considerable amount of centennial spirit due she received from Lu Yi, plus the various kinds of spirit food resources she consumed regularly, her circumstances were much better than before. With such resources and her own surprising talent, it would be a waste not to aim for the Qi Cultivation 13th layer. Since she had not broken through to the Foundation establishment realm, Donggong Mingyue naturally would not participate in the Foundation establishment competition. She, along with Liu Ningxuang, were both going to accompany Lu Yi to the event. Chapter 113, 84 Water Intent Realm 2. Little Minju has arrived. Since that's the case, let's set out. Liu Ningxuang took out her white jade boat, and the three of them stepped onto it, turning into a streak of light as they flew towards the central city. The venue for the Foundation Establishment Junior Competition was at the square in the Trial Tower area. As soon as Lu Yi and his companions arrived, they saw a large number of disciples either standing on the square or hovering in the air. These disciples were from various realms, some at the Foundation Establishment realm, while others were at the Golden Core or even Nascent Soul realm. After all, the East Forest ruins only opened once every 100 years, so this junior competition for those at the Foundation Establishment realm still drew many cultivators who were willing to join the excitement. Even Lu Yi saw many elders standing high in the sky, seemingly there to join in the fun as well. At the moment, the square around the Trial Tower had grown crowded with stages, prepared for the Foundation Establishment Junior Competition. When Lu Yi and his two companions arrived, a crowd of cultivators turned their gaze towards them, including both inner sect disciples and elders. After causing a heavenly tribulation in the Qi cultivation realm, Lu Yi's fame had even surpassed senior sister Ningxuang's. Virtually no one in the inner sect didn't know of him. The multitude of cultivators began to whisper among themselves. "It's Junior Brother Lu. Junior Brother Lu has arrived." Of course he would come. The East Forest ruins open once every 100 years and are filled with opportunities. With Junior Brother Lu's talent, if he enters, he will undoubtedly become even more powerful in the future. To think it opens once every 100 years, and it just so happens that Junior Brother Lu has come across it. He truly has astonishing luck. A genius who could cause a heavenly tribulation in the Qi cultivation realm. How could his fortune be anything but extraordinary? No one thought to guess whether Lu Yi would pass the selection to enter the East Forest ruins. That was completely expected. After all, Lu Yi had now reached the 23rd floor in the Trial Tower, indicating that he could kill cultivators at the Golden Core 3rd layer. He had always ranked first in the Foundation Establishment trial list, barely shaken from his spot. With such strength, who could doubt him? Liu Ningxuang looked at Lu Yi and said with a light smile, "Junior brother, go down. We'll watch from here." Lu Yi nodded, descended with his sword and came to the square. Many Foundation Establishment cultivators were here, all participating in the junior competition. Since there were many inner sect disciples at the Foundation Establishment realm, the sect decided to save time. Only those ranked within the top 1,000 on the trial list for the Foundation Establishment cultivators could participate in the competition. This was a threshold. No sooner had Lu Yi landed than a number of Foundation Establishment cultivators greeted him with smiles. "Junior Brother Lu, you've come." I hope I won't encounter you, junior brother Lu. Otherwise, it'd be a disaster for me. Lu Yi responded to each one with a smile. Just then a familiar voice called out, "Junior brother Lu." Lu Yi turned his head and saw Jiang Fan coming over, with several Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators following along. Lu Yi smiled. "Senior brother Jiang Fan, it's been a long time since we've seen each other." Jiang Fan looked Lu Yi up and down, exclaiming, "Indeed, it has been some time since our last meeting. I've been busy outside on tasks to gather cultivation resources." Lu Yi chuckled. "The fruits of senior brother Jiang Fan's labors are quite evident. You've already reached the third layer Foundation establishment." Last time Lu Yi had met Jiang Fan, which was over half a year ago, Lu Yi had just made a breakthrough, while Jiang Fan, Bai Yulong, and Tai Man had returned to the sect to recuperate and gathered with Lu Yi. At that time, Jiang Fan was only at the second level Foundation establishment, and in just half a year, he had advanced another level, which was quite an impressive rate of cultivation. Lu Yi couldn't help but feel impressed, thinking that it was no surprise since Jiang Fan had an acquired water spirit body. Though not as good as an innate spiritual body, it was still much faster than an average cultivator. Lu Yi remembered that it took Jiang Fan just over 2 years to break through to the Foundation Establishment realm. In those 2 years, reaching the Foundation Establishment third layer was quite an accomplishment, averaging 1 minor realm a year. What surprised Lu Yi the most was that senior brother Jiang Fan, with his second-level Foundation Establishment cultivation base, had actually made it into the top 1,000 on the trial list. This showed that Jiang Fan's combat ability was extremely strong and far surpassed his own level of strength. It was clear that Jiang Fan must also have some aces up his sleeve. The disciples nearby from Waterfall Peak were Jiang Fan's seniors and juniors. Seeing Jiang Fan so close to Lu Yi, who was rumored to possess the demeanor of an immortal, they were all shocked, never expecting that Jiang Fan would have such a good relationship with the renowned Lu Yi. For a moment, the group of cultivators looking at Jiang Fan did so with gleaming eyes. To be on good terms with Lu Yi, Jiang must also possess exceptional talent. They made a mental note to get closer to Jiang Fan in the future. Lu Yi and Jiang Fan chatted about matters outside the sect, also talking about Bai Yulong and Tai Man. Enjoy exclusive chapters from Empire. Bai Yulong and Tai Man, though talented, could not compare to Jiang Fan. Despite all their efforts and risks taken to gain resources over 2 years, they had only broken through to the second layer Foundation establishment. While good among new inner sect disciples, it was still far from the more senior ones. In terms of combat ability, both were unable to compete with Jiang Fan, failing to make it into the top 1,000 on the trial list, thus missing the chance to enter the East Forest ruins. Jiang Fan expressed some regret. "This time I'm entering the East Forest ruins. If I come across treasures suitable for Bai Yulong and Tai Man, perhaps I can help boost their strength." Lu Yi smiled. With senior brother Jiang Fan's intentions, I'm sure senior brother Bai Yulong and senior brother Tai Man would be very touched. As the two were talking and laughing, a figure suddenly appeared in the sky. It was Wu Qingfeng. Wu Qingfeng wore a stern and majestic expression, entirely different from the gentleness he showed when he first met Lu Yi. His gaze swept over the Foundation establishment cultivators below, and he spoke indifferently. "The purpose of this competition is something you all are already aware of. The East Forest ruins are a great opportunity for Foundation establishment cultivators, but opportunities must be fought for with strength. If you lack the strength, even if you enter the ruins, you're merely sending yourselves to death. So, if you wish to enter the ruins, show your strength." Chapter 114, 84 Chapter Water Intent Realm 3. Wu Qingfeng spoke some encouraging words, and then announced that the competition was about to begin. The Foundation Establishment Minor Competition was quite similar to the major competition Lu Yi had participated in at the Outer Sect, with the top 1,000 disciples competing in pairs determined by a draw, purely based on luck. Lu Yi wasn't particularly lucky, as his first opponent was a Foundation Establishment 9th layer senior brother named Li Feng. Li Feng was handsome, with a gentle smile on his face, but when he climbed up the platform and saw Lu Yi approaching, the smile on his face slowly faded. Seeing Li Feng with a despondent look, Lu Yi chuckled. "Senior brother Li Feng, please enlighten me." Li Feng managed a grimace, uglier than crying as he said, "Junior brother, you're too polite. I acknowledge I'm far less skilled than you, I concede." Neither the disciples below, nor the cultivators watching from the sky were surprised. Wu Qingfeng and several elders watching Li Feng leave the platform were discussing among themselves. Li Feng is really unlucky. Indeed a pity. He's definitely among the top 10 in our Crimson Flow Peak Foundation establishment disciples, yet he met Lu Yi in the first round. Luck is also part of strength. The East Forest ruins aren't just about opportunities. With bad luck, it might not take long before one loses their life, Wu Qingfeng said indifferently. The sect leader is right, someone agreed. Indeed, fortune is also an important factor. The minor competition proceeded quickly, and the top 100 ranks were selected after a few rounds. Each time Lu Yi met an opponent who recognized him, their faces fell. There was nothing to be done, as in their view, the strength Lu Yi demonstrated in the trial tower was simply invincible. One by one, they all conceded directly. To Lu Yi, this was no surprise. For him, participating in the minor competition was merely a formality. What surprised Lu Yi was that senior brother Jiang Fan had also made it into the top 100, experienced more content on Empire. The disciples in the top 100 were generally above Foundation Establishment 8th layer, so Jiang Fan at the 3rd layer stood out quite a bit. Of course, Lu Yi was an exception. Lu Yi had watched Jiang Fan's matches and found that he had mastered a rather impressive golden core skill, which was powerful, washing over his opponents like a torrential wave, pushing them out of the competition. Lu Yi inwardly admired. As expected of someone with an acquired water spirit body, his strength is commendable. Just then something occurred to Lu Yi, and he muttered to himself, I must defeat senior brother Jiang Fan. Task: defeat Jiang Fan. Reward: a trace of water intent, 1 drop of myriad spirit dew. Accept yes no. Lu Yi's eyes lit up, feeling exhilarated. It had been a while since he last sparred with senior brother Jiang Fan, as there hadn't been any tasks issued. The rewards for defeating senior brother Jiang Fan previously were too low, so Lu Yi had been too lazy to issue any tasks. Who would have thought that after awakening an acquired water spirit body and breaking through to the Foundation Establishment realm, senior brother Jiang Fan now came with a worthy reward. Excellent. Each drop of myriad spirit dew was better than the rewards from his junior sister. Not only that, there was also a reward of the water intent. If he comprehended the water intent, Lu Yi would have mastered 3 intents. It seemed he should find time to have a good sparring session with senior brother Jiang Fan. By the way, he still had a drop of spiritual liquid, and since he didn't need it anymore, perhaps it would be a good gift for senior brother Jiang Fan after returning from the East Forest ruins. With senior brother Jiang Fan becoming stronger, his own practice tasks could yield better rewards. After defeating his opponent, Jiang Fan returned to Lu Yi's side. Seeing Lu Yi watching him, he was puzzled and asked, Junior brother Lu, what's the matter? Lu Yi smiled. I'm just amazed at how much stronger you've become since we last met, senior brother Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan laughed. Junior brother's words seem almost to jest at me. My improvement is minor compared to yours, barely worth mentioning. Lu Yi smiled. That's not true, everyone has their strengths. Your technique truly impressed me, senior brother. Perhaps we could spar when you're free. Hearing this, Jiang Fan's eyes brightened and he smiled. If so, that would be wonderful. He too naturally wanted to spar with Lu Yi. After all, Lu Yi's talent and strength were obvious, and sparring with him would be greatly beneficial. Previously, he felt his strength was far inferior to Lu Yi's, and he couldn't bring himself to suggest a spar, but now that Lu Yi brought it up, Jiang Fan had no reason to refuse. Jiang Fan couldn't help but admire. Junior brother Lu is really too kind. Does he wish to help me improve? Jiang Fan felt deeply moved, considering junior brother Lu's kindness monumental. The major competition continued, and after the top 100, the matches became even fiercer. Even the cultivators at Foundation Establishment Peak found themselves struggling. However, for a chance at the East Forest ruins, they knew they had to fight, regardless of knowing they might be outmatched, making the battles even more intense. Although Jiang Fan had refined his golden core skill to a profound degree, he also began to face increasing dangers. Just when Lu Yi was considering whether to help him, Jiang Fan unexpectedly produced an incredibly powerful magic artifact, a somewhat worn white bottle containing a vast amount of mystic water that, under Jiang Fan's control, could be used defensively or offensively, proving quite formidable. Even practitioners at the Foundation Establishment Peak were unable to break through the mystic water's defense. This attracted quite a bit of attention. Lu Yi scanned it and almost transformed with his spiritual power sensation, feeling the immense power within the bottle, likely threatening even to low-level golden core cultivators. This was indeed a top-grade magic artifact, possibly approaching the power of a low-grade treasure. Lu Yi thought it odd. This must be senior brother Jiang Fan's fortunate play. True to his name, which included Fan, he really was lucky. Though the artifact seemed slightly damaged, if repaired, it might become even stronger. While Jiang Fan struggled to use the artifact due to his lower cultivation, he still managed to break into the top 20. Finally, the top 20 were decided. Lu Yi and Jiang Fan were among them, alongside 5 other cultivators at Foundation Establishment Peak, with the rest all at the 9th layer. From the beginning to the end of the minor competition, Lu Yi hadn't lifted a hand once. He almost doubted whether he was there to watch rather than compete, feeling somewhat helpless. As the minor competition concluded, Wu Qingfeng landed on the platform, swept his gaze over the 20 contestants and spoke indifferently. Those entering the East Forest ruins are the 20 of you. Go back and prepare. We set off in a week. Chapter 115-85. The sounds of battle from the endless ages past. Afterward, Wu Qingfeng announced the end of the contest, and everyone departed. Lu Yi, Liu Ningxuan, and Donggong Mingyue left together and returned to Ling Luo Peak. In the 7 days that followed, they passed quietly, and soon it was time to gather. On that day in the morning, Lu Yi left his cave mansion and headed to the gathering place. It was at the top of White Cloud Peak, where the main hall of the White Cloud sect was located. As soon as Lu Yi reached the top of White Cloud Peak, he saw quite a few people already there, including Jiang Fan and a group of senior brothers and sisters who were going to enter the East Forest ruins. Besides them, Lu Yi was surprised to see Liu Ningxuan. She was standing with a few elders who had a strong and profound aura. Walking over, Lu Yi asked, somewhat surprised, "Senior sister, what are you doing here?" Upon seeing Lu Yi, Liu Ningxuang's normally indifferent face softened slightly, and she smiled lightly. All the disciples going to the East Forest ruins this time are the future backbone of the White Cloud sect, and since you are among them, protection is needed. I and a few elders will be going with you. Lu Yi glanced at the elders nearby. They had warm expressions and nodded slightly at him. All these elders had nascent soul realm cultivation bases, and among them was an old woman whom Lu Yi had never met before. Her aura was unfathomably deep, and Lu Yi couldn't even sense her cultivation base. She was likely a strong being, similar to Elder Xuan and Elder Ming at the Divinity Transformation realm. The old woman stepped forward, looked at Lu Yi approvingly and nodded with a smile. "Child, you must be Lu Yi. Truly handsome and dashing, quite impressive indeed." By his side, Liu Ningxuang introduced, "Junior brother, this is Elder Qian, a true powerhouse of our White Cloud sect. 1,000 years ago, she dominated Qingzhou, and now she will lead our team." Hastily, Lu Yi bowed respectfully. "I have seen Elder Qian." The old woman's smile was gentle, resembling a kindly neighborly grandma. "Oh, those times are long gone. Seeing young talents like you makes me truly happy. I don't have many years left, and the future of the White Cloud sect really depends on you." Having said this, after a short while, when everyone had arrived, Elder Qian finally said, "Let us depart." Another nascent soul elder nodded, waved his large sleeve, and a magnificent wooden boat appeared. The wooden boat, engraved with mysterious array patterns, slowly enlarged until it became a massive ship hundreds of meters long, shimmering with streams of light, floating above White Cloud Peak. It was a flying treasure. Lu Yi was surprised. Such a huge flying treasure was probably not just a magic artifact, nor likely an artifact, but perhaps a spiritual artifact of high caliber. White Cloud sect actually had such a treasure. Lu Yi was somewhat astonished. "Board the ship, the journey is long, we should make haste." When Elder Qian spoke, naturally everyone boarded the ship. Once aboard, Lu Yi stood on the deck and watched as the array patterns engraved on the wooden ship lit up one by one. The ship enveloped in a translucent light dome, and then transformed into a stream of light, vanishing from its original place. Lu Yi stood on the deck, gazing down at the quickly receding mountains and rivers below. The speed of this ship was incredibly fast, much faster than his full-speed Thunder Shadow Step. Speaking of which, Lu Yi recalled that he had a flying treasure of his own, a top-grade flying artifact. It was a pity that he hadn't used it yet, since the Wind Breath Boat was rather conspicuous, and he didn't venture out much, so it was practically unnecessary. While Lu Yi mused internally, Liu Ningxuang came up to stand alongside him. Lu Yi glanced at her. Liu Ningxuang's side profile was as white and pure as jade, glowing with a translucent light, stunningly beautiful. Liu Ningxuang looked at him and chuckled lightly. Junior brother, the East Forest ruins are not within the territory of the White Cloud sect. It's quite a distance away, and even traveling on the Ningguang ancient ship takes half a month. You can't just stand here. Go and rest. I'll show you to a room. Read exclusive adventures at Empire. Lu Yi nodded, and then both of them headed to the cabin. Lu Yi found the Ningguang ancient ship to be extremely spacious, not to mention the barely 30-odd people. Even twice the number could easily be accommodated, with each being assigned their own room. Inside the room, there even existed a spirit gathering array which allowed for peaceful cultivation. This was truly luxurious. Lu Yi was somewhat impressed. In the following days, Lu Yi spent each day quietly cultivating, occasionally drinking and chatting with his senior sister, and sometimes sparring with his senior brother Jiang Fan. The deck of the Ningguang ancient ship was extremely sturdy. Lu Yi suspected that even going all out, he would be hard-pressed to damage it, making it completely suitable for sparring. After sparring with senior brother Jiang Fan, Lu Yi actually comprehended the water intent realm and even gathered nearly 100 drops of myriad spirit dew. He now had several hundred drops of myriad spirit dew. Most of them were rewards from surpassing the 20th floor of the trial tower, and some were from breaking through the foundation establishment realm, and rewards from a task a year ago. Lu Yi had not used any of these myriad spirit dew drops, yet as he could still cultivate with millennium spirit dew, planning to wait a while longer until the effects of the millennium spirit dew diminished. After all, the sources for obtaining millennium spirit dew were more plentiful now. Because Lu Yi and Jiang Fan sparred, several other Foundation Establishment Realm senior brothers and sisters also joined in. Lu Yi assigned each of them tasks, and among the 5 at the peak of Foundation Establishment who could be considered exceptionally talented, the reward was also Millennium Spirit Dew. As for the others, the reward was Perfect Qi Gathering Pills. Qi Gathering Pills are elixirs for cultivation at the Foundation Establishment Realm. Perfect Qi Gathering Pills might be extremely precious in the eyes of others, but to Lu Yi, they were of no use for cultivation. Chapter 116, 85. The sounds of battle from the endless ages past 2. Lu Yi didn't refuse any challenges that came his way, and he gained quite a lot from each bout. These perfect Qi gathering pills, when the time comes, can be taken along with the Millennium Spirit Dew and given to old Lu and Mom for their use. Or when the time comes, these perfect Qi gathering pills could also be used by senior brother Jiang Fan and senior brother Bai Yulong. A few days later, the Ningguang ancient ship left the territory of the White Cloud sect and continued onward, passing through various regions until it finally arrived at a desolate land of scorched earth. The parched land was eerily silent, still lingering with traces of the blood slaughter aura. Lu Yi's spirit wavered for a moment, and he seemed to hear the sounds of battle coming from an unknown, long-gone era. Lu Yi's spirit jolted, and he quickly regained his senses, looking down at the scorched earth with some astonishment. This place is a bit eerie. Turning his head, he saw that some of the Foundation Establishment cultivators at his side were also slightly dazed, even senior brother Jiang Fan. As for the nascent soul cultivators and Elder Qian, as well as senior sister Liu Ningxuang, they seemed unfazed. Seeing Lu Yi regain his senses, so quickly surprised the nascent soul elders. Elder Qian nodded satisfied, smiling. Not bad, not bad. You broke free from the blood slaughter illusion realm so quickly, Lu Yi. Your spiritual power is quite formidable indeed. Liu Ningxuang, however, remained calm, speaking out. Junior brother is at the 13th layer of Qi Cultivation Foundation establishment. His spiritual power is naturally far superior to his peers. The 13th layer of Qi Cultivation, indeed a very powerful foundation. Haha, it seems we were overly concerned. Nephew Lu Yi is a prodigy who has triggered the Foundation Establishment Heavenly Tribulation, commented the elders with laughter. The elders sighed with admiration, and then one of them spoke. All right, let's wake up everyone else. An elder shouted, awaken. Instantly, the group of Foundation Establishment disciples perked up, quickly coming back to their senses. Their complexions changed slightly, pale as they looked down with a trace of terror. Jiang Fan's brow furrowed tightly, shock on his face. What was that illusion just now? Find your next read at Empire. A nascent soul elder spoke. This place was a battlefield during the ancient times where the demon and human clans waged a great war. Even the powerful were drenched in blood, and despite the countless years past, an endless aura of slaughter still lingers in this scorched land. Cultivators with low cultivation bases and weak minds are easily influenced by this aura of slaughter, falling into the illusion. Entering the East Forest ruins, one will encounter similar auras of slaughter, some areas even denser than here. If one's spirit is not strong enough, better not venture into those areas. Those lost in the illusion may never find their way out. Hearing this, the numerous disciples shivered with lingering fear. Does that mean the East Forest ruins are just ahead? Lu Yi asked, looking out into the distance. Liu Ningxuang nodded slightly, pointing to a desolate set of hills in the distance. The entrance to the ruins is over there. Lu Yi looked over, then his eyes widened slightly when he saw that there seemed to be others present. Besides cultivators floating in the air, there was also a vast azure ice mountain hovering. Hey, it looks like the folks from Cold Winter Valley are already here. It's rare for them to arrive this early, said a nascent soul elder, smiling upon seeing the ice mountain. Let's go over as well, ordered Elder Qian, and the Ningguang ancient ship flew towards that direction. As they drew closer, Lu Yi could see more clearly. The ice mountain was tremendously huge, with cultivators seated cross-legged upon it. They seemed unaffected by the turmoil of the heavens, and even as many cultivators around them were conversing, it did not disturb their meditation as they sat there with closed eyes, cultivating. Lu Yi glanced at the peculiar ice mountain, which emitted a dense cold aura, seemingly a powerful cultivation treasure that had been refined. As for the cultivators outside the ice mountain, Lu Yi took a moment to observe them and felt they were probably loose cultivators. Every time the East Forest ruins were opened, loose cultivators would come to join the excitement, some hoping to snatch treasures within the ruins, while others merely treated it as a grand gathering, coming simply to watch the bustle. As the Ningguang ancient ship slowly approached, those loose cultivators all fixed their gaze upon it. It's the White Cloud Sect's Ningguang ancient ship. They've arrived as well. It's hard to say how strong the White Cloud Sect's contingent is this time. I've heard that Cold Winter Valley has a prodigy with an innate ice spirit body just like Liu Ningxuang. They've kept her hidden for 20 years, now at the Foundation establishment peak. If the East Forest ruins hadn't opened, she probably wouldn't have shown up. Innate ice spirit body. Cold Winter Valley actually has such a genius. A 20-year-old at the Foundation establishment peak, although not quite like Liu Ningxuang, isn't far off either. It seems like none of the disciples from the 5 sects this generation would be able to stand against her, right? That may not necessarily be the case. The Blood Spirit sect master's own child carries the Blood Spirit bead since birth, trained from a young age. Rumor has it that he's also at the Foundation establishment peak, and would have reached the Golden Core realm already if not for the imminent opening of the East Forest ruins. He may be even stronger than that prodigy from Cold Winter Valley. I know of the Blood Spirit sect's young master. They say he's extremely bloodthirsty. Isn't he afraid of karmic retribution? Watch your words. If you want to die, that's fine, but we don't. Many loose cultivators quickly distanced themselves from the one who had spoken, and realizing his blunder, he fell silent. Heavenly Snake Sect, 10,000 Flowers Valley, White Cloud Sect. I wonder if there are any outstanding figures in this generation. I'm not sure about the other sects, but I'm a loose cultivator from the White Cloud territory. This time, the White Cloud Sect will surely be the strongest among the sects. Upon hearing this, everyone's faces showed surprise as they turned to look at the loose cultivator who had spoken. Brother, isn't that statement a bit too hasty? Yeah, every sect among the 5 sects is a major sect in Qingzhou with an abundance of talents. It's preposterous to say that one will certainly suppress the others, they said. Chapter 117, 85. The Sounds of Battle from the Endless Ages Past 3. What do you know? Do you not know that this generation in the White Cloud sect has produced a talent surpassing Liu Ningxuang? At these words, many loose cultivators paused, all of them looking astonished at the cultivator. A talent surpassing Liu Ningxuang. Immortal Liu Ningxuang is among the top 3 on the Young Talents ranking of the Eastern Domain, reigning supreme over the youths of the entire Qingzhou. The White Cloud sect actually has someone surpassing such a character. Impossible, absolutely impossible. I do not believe it. Seeing the disbelief on everyone's faces, the loose cultivator sneered and opened his mouth to say, that talent broke through from the Qi cultivation realm to the Foundation establishment realm last year and even triggered a heavenly tribulation. A heavenly tribulation at the Qi Cultivation realm. Who among you has seen such a thing? At his words everyone fell silent, then burst into a buzz. The Qi Cultivation realm, and he triggered a heavenly tribulation. How is that possible? What kind of talent must one possess to trigger a heavenly tribulation in the Qi Cultivation realm? The loose cultivator sneered again. If it hadn't been for the tribulation being undertaken inside the sect, causing a huge commotion, perhaps no one would have even known about it. That talent's potential could perhaps be compared with the ancient talents. If that's true, if this talent doesn't fall, isn't there a chance he could become immortal in the future? The White Cloud sect has struck it rich. Wait, you said he broke through to the Foundation establishment realm just last year. How strong could he have become within 1 year? He might not be able to match those who have already reached the peak of Foundation establishment. At this, the crowd came back to their senses. That makes sense. Even if one has great talent without it converting to strength, it's all for naught. Having only broken through Foundation establishment a year ago, would he dare to come to East Forest ruins? We all know about this. I don't believe the other sects aren't aware that the White Cloud sect has produced such a demon. If he truly dares to come to East Forest ruins, I'm afraid the talents of other sects won't let go of the opportunity to eliminate him. Indeed, a talent like that should not emerge so early. Once his cultivation is achieved, who could contend with him? He could cause a sensation across the entire eastern domain. As the crowd discussed fervently, the cultivators of the cold winter valley on the ice mountain seemed to sense something and opened their eyes, looking toward the approaching Ningguang ancient ship. Sitting at the very top of the ice mountain was an old man with white hair, his cool eyes flickering, his body lightly soaring into the air, flying towards the Ningguang ancient ship. Ha, fellows of the White Cloud sect, I did not expect you to arrive so early. Which friend is leading this time? Please come out and meet us. Elder Qian soared into the air, his gentle voice ringing out. Friend Dongyu, long time no see, hope all is well. Upon seeing Elder Qian, Dongyu smiled and said, So it is friend Qian. He glanced at Qian's aged face, where he could still make out traces of past brilliant beauty, and he sighed, somewhat melancholically saying, It has been a long time, we have all aged. Qian smiled gently. Without becoming immortal, old age and sickness are inevitable. To pass through this worldly realm freely is enough. Such sentimentality doesn't suit the one known as Ice Demon. Upon hearing this, Dongyu laughed heartily. Even the once immortal Qian sees things this way. What is there for an old Taoist like me to fuss over? As he spoke, his gaze swept over the Ningguang ancient ship, finally settling on Lu Yi, a flicker of light passing through his eyes. He gently smiled and said, I heard that your White Cloud sect has produced an immortal seed, and you dared bring him here, not afraid he might die in the East Forest ruins. Elder Qian looked at Dongyu and smiled. Since he is an immortal seed, the minor East Forest ruins naturally pose no threat to him. Then, what about the prodigies from the other sects? Asked Dongyu, casting a deep glance at Lu Yi before slowly retracting his gaze. Elder Qian's expression turned cold as he said, If they have the capability, they can certainly try. Dongyu smiled and said, Cold Winter Valley and White Cloud sect have no grievances, so they definitely won't make a move against your immortal seed. However, the Heavenly Snake sect and the Blood Spirit sect might not be the same. HMPH, just with their sect's little ones, they want to make a move on Lu Yi. Elder Qian scoffed coldly. Lu Yi was, after all, the direct disciple of the Ling Luo Peak Master, whose strength was unfathomable. If it wasn't certain that there wasn't much danger for Lu Yi entering the East Forest ruins, why would he let him enter? Just then a cold voice rang out. Qian, it's been over 200 years and your cultivation base hasn't improved much, but your talk seems to have grown grander. Many cultivators turned their heads only to see an ancient ship shrouded in a sinister blood, mist slowly approaching from the horizon. Explore stories at Empire. Even though there was still some distance, many cultivators could still feel the thick stench of blood. It's the Blood Spirit sect's ancient ship. The people from the Blood Spirit sect have arrived. There's going to be a good show. I heard that recently a divinity transformation elder from the Blood Spirit sect is nearing the end of his lifespan, and he dispatched cultivators to the White Cloud territory to refine blood essence, causing quite a stir, and the animosity between the two sects has significantly escalated. Hey, the way you speak, it's as if without this incident, the two sects had no animosity. Remember, the leader of the Blood Spirit sect died at the hands of someone from the White Cloud sect. I wonder if they will start fighting now. Nearby, loose cultivators chatted as they watched the approaching Blood Spirit sect's ancient ship. Elder Qian's expression was no longer gentle but very cold as he watched the approaching Blood Spirit sect ancient ship and scornfully chuckled. "Look who it is, Zhu Luo. It seems the injury you sustained in that battle has healed quite a bit." A ray of blood light flew out from the ancient ship, arriving not far from Elder Qian, revealing an old man in a blood robe with blood-red hair, as if it was dyed with fresh blood. He looked at Qian, a streak of blood gleaming within his dark red pupils, and with a cold laugh, he then turned his gaze to the Ningguang ancient ship. Upon seeing Lu Yi, he did not hide the murderous intent in his eyes and grinned, saying, "Originally, I thought the young pups of White Cloud sect didn't dare to come out, but to think you actually dared to show up. Since you're here, then don't bother returning." Elder Qian's aura locked onto Zhu Luo, preventing any sudden outbursts, and he indifferently said, "If your disciples from the Blood Spirit sect can come, why can't the disciples from my White Cloud sect come?" Zhu Luo, sensing Elder Qian's aura, coldly smiled but did not make a move. "I hope he will enter the ruins." Lu Yi, aboard the ancient ship, naturally felt Zhu Luo's murderous intent and was very annoyed, muttering, "That old man's gaze is really disgusting. He's so old and still wants to lay his hands on me. Shameless." Next to him, Immortal Liu Ningxuang, her face icy, looked at Zhu Luo and calmly said, "With Elder Qian and us here, outside the ruins, no one can touch you." At that moment, Lu Yi suddenly frowned, sensing the undisguised malice emanating from the Blood Spirit sect's ancient ship. He turned his head to look over, and saw a handsome young man with a scar on his forehead looking at him. Seeing Lu Yi looking over, the young man grinned uncontrollably, pointed at Lu Yi, and slowly drew his hand across his own throat. Chapter 118-86. The immensely generous task rewards inside the ancient ruin. When Lu Yi saw the bloodstained youth's provocation, he raised an eyebrow. "Who is this person?" Standing beside him, a Foundation establishment peak stable young man with a grave expression looked at the arrogant youth and said, "He is the Blood Spirit sect leader's own son, called Zhu Tianhen. It's said that he was born with a Blood Spirit bead, possessing extremely high talent. He has been honing his foundation at the Foundation establishment peak, and his strength is probably quite formidable." This young man was named Yu Ling and was the second place in this minor competition. His strength was incredibly strong, and on the trial list, his combat power had reached the 22nd level, which means he had the strength to defeat a golden core first-layer cultivator. A pretty woman beside him frowned as she watched Zhu Tianhen and said, "It seems like this person has set his sights on junior brother Lu. Once we enter the East Forest ruins, he will likely make a move against you. You have to be careful, junior brother Lu." This woman, who took third place in the competition, was not much weaker than Yu Ling. Her name was Lin Xianxia. Lu Yi gave a light chuckle. "I see, the Blood Spirit sect leader's own son. No wonder he's so arrogant. I'll be careful. Thank you for the reminder, senior sister Lin." He thought of the evil deeds the Blood Spirit sect disciples had committed at the White Cloud sect, the villages left desolate, and the pitiful people wandering everywhere. His eyes narrowed slightly as he scanned over the Blood Spirit sect ancient ship. When Zhu Tianhen showed killing intent towards him, the other Blood Spirit sect disciples also looked at him, their eyes cold. Lu Yi thought to himself, "I will kill any Blood Spirit sect disciple who enters the East Forest ruins." Task: kill the Blood Spirit sect disciples who enter the East Forest ruins. The reward for the task will depend on the number of kills. Explore more at Empire. Accept yes, no. Lu Yi silently chose yes, and he also smiled back at Zhu Tianhen. On the distant Blood Spirit sect ancient ship, Zhu Tianhen saw Lu Yi daring to smile at him, and he grinned, baring his snow-white teeth, truly courting death. A flirty woman beside him chuckled lightly. Why should Tianhen be angry with someone who is bound to die? Indeed, even if a Qi cultivation realm provokes a heavenly tribulation, what does it matter? It's merely a breakthrough in Foundation establishment that happened just a year ago. Instead of cultivating dutifully within their sect, they dare to venture out, and they're seeking their own death. An elderly Blood Spirit sect elder looked deeply at Lu Yi and slowly stated, "This child has extraordinary talent, and if allowed to grow, he will become a major enemy of our Blood Spirit sect. When you enter the East Forest ruins, your primary task should be to kill him. For this purpose, Even if it means obtaining fewer opportunities, it is worth the sacrifice. Whoever can kill this child will receive a handsome reward from our sect. All the Blood Spirit Sect's Foundation establishment disciples had eager looks in their eyes, ready for the challenge. Yes. As tensions rose between the two sides, a piercing screech echoed through heaven and earth, and a powerful presence was released without restraint, causing everyone to turn and look, including Lu Yi. In that direction, a black-odd snake, hundreds of meters long with a pair of pitch-black wings, swiftly flew from afar. Some cultivators stood on the back of the giant snake, each of them with a somewhat sinister expression, looking like they were not to be trifled with. It's the Black Jade strange snake. The Heavenly Snake Sect has arrived. As expected of the Heavenly Snake Sect, judging by the aura of the Black Jade strange snake, it's at the nascent soul realm and tamed to be their mount. Does Heavenly Snake Sect have strong disciples as well? Can they compete against the Blood Spirit Sect, White Cloud Sect, and the Cold Winter Valley? Well, the Heavenly Snake Sect has always kept a low profile, but they are not weak. This generation's disciples are probably not bad either. There might be such talents among them. While the crowd was discussing, more rays of dawn light emerged, and as everyone looked over, they saw a luxurious flower ship approaching from the horizon, closing in rapidly. The 10,000 Flowers sect has arrived. Many cultivators' eyes lit up, looking in the direction of the flower ship, full of anticipation. The 10,000 Flowers sect is the only sect in Qingzhou consisting solely of female cultivators, filled with beauties, and many male cultivators take pride in having a disciple from the 10,000 Flowers sect as their Taoist couple. Soon the 10,000 Flowers sect flower ship drew near, and on it stood a group of charming and beautiful female cultivators, with the leading one in a green dress who was exceptionally beautiful and had a very profound aura. On the Ningguang ancient ship, everyone was also paying attention to the flower ship. Yu Ling commented as he looked at the exceptionally beautiful woman. That woman in the green dress is Yunzai. It is said that she has the 10,000 Flowers spirit body and is extremely powerful. A Foundation establishment disciple beside him said with a smile, whether she's strong or not is another matter, but Yunzai is indeed very beautiful. Many disciples laughed knowingly. Even Lu Yi found Yunzai attractive, but his heart remained indifferent. After all, the women beside him, senior sister Liu Ningxuang and junior sister Donggong Mingyue, were already considered peerlessly beautiful, raising his standards quite high. Even if Yunzai was beautiful, it would not cause any ripples in his heart. Yet even he could sense that Yunzai's strength was not weak. Her body contained a very powerful force. After the arrival of the 10,000 Flowers sect and the Heavenly Snake sect, the elders from the Odd Snake and the flower ship rose into the air, flying toward the three elders Qian. These two were also divinity transformation cultivators leading the groups this time, and their strength was extremely powerful. It turns out to be Taoist Du Qin and Taoist Ma Yue. Dong Yu greeted them with a light chuckle. Du Qin was the divinity transformation elder from the 10,000 Flowers sect, an old woman. Ma Yue, on the other hand, was the divinity transformation elder from the Heavenly Snake sect, a withered old man. All five sects had now arrived. Not long after, Lu Yi keenly felt that the aura of slaughter on this blasted land seemed to become even thicker, the scent of blood surging, involuntarily stirring up a feeling of brutality in one's heart. Chapter 119, 86. The immensely generous task rewards inside the ancient ruins too. This is the influence of the bloodthirsty energy on the mind. Lu Yi's spiritual power circulated, and he quickly suppressed this sensation. He looked towards the nearby hill in some astonishment. Find your next read on Empire. At the hill, a dense, bloodthirsty energy had formed a blood mist. What is that? Many disciples exclaimed. An elder by their side explained, the time is almost upon us. When the killing intent becomes most intense, that's when the spatial barrier of the East Forest ruins is at its weakest and the door can be opened. As soon as the elder's words ended, the five divinity transformation experts standing in the center simultaneously soared into the air, arriving before the blood mist. Ma Yue shouted, act together, open the door of the ruins. Let's do it. The five divinity transformation cultivators, bodies were wrapped in circulating spiritual energy, their terrifying aura incredibly fearsome, causing the surrounding space to slightly tremble. The killing intent was stimulated by the aura of the divinity transformation experts, and the entire burnt ground seemed to come alive. Ancient shadows spanning endless years appeared across the charred earth. Those figures were towering, from both the human clan and the demon clan, with their war cries shaking the heavens, non-stop to the ear. It was as if through endless years, they transmitted their killing intent to this current time and space, stunning those who witnessed it. Lu Yi, looking at the ancient shadows that appeared everywhere, couldn't help but widen his eyes in surprise. This commotion was, admittedly, a bit too exaggerated. The murderous intent had lain dormant in the burnt earth for so many years, yet it could still be activated. Just how powerful were the great cultivators who had fought on this battlefield in the beginning? Lu Yi found it hard to imagine. The group of divinity transformation experts had anticipated this. They each employed powerful arts, converging together, and ferociously struck down into the blood mist. Boom! The blood mist thundered, space twisted, and gradually a huge dark portal formed. The portal was pitch black. One could not see the scene inside, which was somewhat frightening. Upon seeing the portal open, the eyes of the loose cultivators shone brightly. A few of them turned into streaks of light and flew towards the portal. Just then, an immensely powerful oppression bore down. The spiritual power pressure directly turned those few Foundation establishment loose cultivators into blood mist. The loose cultivators who had been itching to move immediately halted in their steps. My Yue spoke coldly. This ruin was discovered by the 5 sects. Disciples of the 5 sects will enter first. Only after that will be your turn. If not now, when will the disciples of the 5 sects enter? On the Ningguang ancient ship, Jiang Fan looked towards Lu Yi and said with a light laugh, "Junior brother, let's enter." Lu Yi nodded slightly. 20 disciples from the White Cloud sect rode their swords, turning into streaks of light, and flew towards the dark space. It wasn't only the White Cloud sect. Disciples from the Cold Winter Valley, Heavenly Snake sect, 10,000 Flowers Valley, and Blood Spirit sect disciples also flew on their swords, heading towards the entrance of the ruins. Soon, Lu Yi and his group disappeared into it. Entering the entrance, Lu Yi felt as if the sky and earth were spinning, space was inverted, and all around was eerily silent and pitch black. The cultivators who had entered with him seemed to have disappeared, and only the dark void remained. A moment later, his vision brightened, and he once again could see, feeling the sensation of solid ground beneath his feet. Lu Yi looked around and found himself in the middle of a forest. The trees were all ancient and towering, their bark aged, and many were covered in moss. Lu Yi looked up through the gaps in the ancient trees to see a dark red sky, without sun or moon, as if soaked in blood. He had entered the ruins. Lu Yi's heart settled down. As far as he knew, the sky of the East Forest ruins was always like this, forever a blood-soaked dark red without the stars or celestial bodies, only eternally dark red. This small world was fundamentally a piece of space debris, naturally lacking stars. Lu Yi casually glanced at his panel and saw that the task of entering the East Forest ruins was completed, leaving no room for doubt. His lips curved upwards, 30 drops of myriad spirit dew secured without much effort. Next, it was time to walk around and try his luck. In fact, Lu Yi didn't have much expectation for fortunes. He was merely thinking of trying his luck to see if he could release some tasks. After all, the rewards from tasks would be better than any fortunes found in the ruins. Of course, in the process, he also had to look out for those Blood Spirit sect disciples. Lu Yi had not forgotten his task to kill members of the Blood Spirit sect. While Lu Yi was pondering, suddenly a fierce growl came from behind him. He turned his head and saw a black-armored, elephant-sized exotic beast slowly approaching, its dark red eyes fixed on Lu Yi with thick, murderous intent. The beasts of the East Forest ruins, baptized by the aura of slaughter for years, were extremely aggressive. Lu Yi's face was calm. It was only a Foundation establishment 8th layer beast, not very strong. He muttered in his mind, "I must kill this exotic beast." Task: kill a Foundation establishment 8th layer exotic beast. Reward: 8 drops of barbaric beast essence blood, 8 drops of myriad spirit dew. Accept yes no. Lu Yi was stunned by the task, somewhat astonished. Such a generous reward. It was almost too lavish, wasn't it? You should know that Lu Yi had also killed Foundation establishment fierce beasts in the 10,000 Beasts mountain range before, but the reward had been only Millennium Spirit Dew. But now, he was actually being rewarded with Myriad Spirit Dew. And a full 8 drops of that. Moreover, besides the Myriad Spirit Dew, there was also a reward of Barbaric Beast Essence Blood. Barbaric beasts were incredibly powerful exotic beasts, and their essence blood was a natural treasure for body refinement, perfect for that use. If one knew alchemy, turning the barbaric beast essence blood into an elixir could take its effects to another level. Lu Yi, who knew how to craft blood essence pills, knew that adding barbaric beast essence blood would make the pills exceedingly powerful. Chapter 120-86, The Incredibly Rich Task Reward Inside the Ancient Ruins 3. As Lu Yi pondered that his body-refining resources were a bit lacking, who would have thought that they would now be delivered right to his doorstep? Overwhelmed with excitement, Lu Yi hurriedly accepted the task. It was a good decision to come to the East Forest ruins. The rewards were too generous. As Lu Yi accepted the task, the exotic beast let out a low growl. Spiritual energy surged around it, carrying a bloodthirsty aura as it pounced toward Lu Yi with overwhelming momentum. Lu Yi was somewhat surprised. Although the exotic beast's cultivation base was at the Foundation Establishment 8th layer, its might was such that even a cultivator at the Foundation Establishment peak might not necessarily withstand it. It seemed that the exotic beasts in the East Forest ruins, refined by the aura of bloodthirst over the years, had become extremely bloodthirsty and mindless, but their combat power had also become quite formidable. Of course, a battle prowess that could reach the Foundation Establishment peak was completely insignificant to Lu Yi. Lu Yi didn't even draw his long sword. With a casual flick of his finger, a flash of golden sword light passed in an instant, piercing through the brow of the exotic beast, erasing its vitality. Lu Yi glanced at the corpse of the exotic beast, thought for a moment, and then collected the body, thinking the meat quality might be good, perhaps suitable for making charcoal grilled meat or the like. If it doesn't taste good, he could just throw it away. There was no reason to waste it outright. Afterward, Lu Yi rose into the air and flew out of the ancient forest, intending to check his current location. According to the information that Lu Yi had received earlier, upon entering the East Forest ruins, spatial fluctuations meant that the location where each cultivator appeared was random, though all would be on the outskirts of the ruins. The inner areas of the East Forest ruins were extremely chaotic in space and impossible to penetrate. As for leaving, that would have to wait until 10 days later at a special place in the northern outskirts where a spatial door would open. Then, 5 divinity transformation experts would guide them out. With a long time left before departure, Lu Yi planned to look around. Reaching the sky, Lu Yi found that he was in a vast forest that spread out to a very distant place, and even further was a wasteland. These were perimeter regions. If one were to look towards the deeper parts of the East Forest ruins, they would see the blood fog becoming denser and denser. The deepest parts of the blood fog were almost solidified to the point where the interior scenes were not visible. With such concentrated bloodthirsty aura, one could imagine how terrifying it was. That place was the core area of the Great War between the human clan and the demon clan years ago, and likely the burial grounds for those great powers. Even after so many years, the bloodthirsty aura had not dissipated. There were probably unimaginable dangers within. According to the exploration of the Foundation Establishment cultivators from the 5 sects over these years, the perimeter areas were the safest, and the further inside, the more dangerous it became. Not even one who ventured deep into the East Forest ruins had come out alive. Among them, many who were once considered brilliant geniuses. This also made many disciples respect and keep a distance from the core area. Naturally, Lu Yi wasn't about to court death. Although he was strong and confident in himself, he didn't think he was truly invincible. If he encountered any danger inside, that would be problematic. He wasn't lacking resources, so there was no need to take such risks. It was enough for him to wander around the outskirts in peace. Having made up his mind, Lu Yi decided to move towards the wastelands. Generally, such areas were remnants of the Great War, and perhaps he could find treasures left behind by those cultivators from countless years ago. Just as Lu Yi made his decision, a piercing bird cry echoed. Lu Yi turned his head and saw a giant bird covered in golden feathers crossing the sky, flying towards the depths of the East Forest ruins. Despite the great distance, Lu Yi could still feel the formidable aura of the bird, Golden Core Peak. Lu Yi exhaled a breath of stale air and slowly descended from the sky. Only Foundation Establishment cultivators could enter from the outside, but for the native creatures of the East Forest ruins, this did not apply. Many experts suspected that there were extremely powerful exotic beasts in the core region of the East Forest ruins. Lu Yi shook his head, no longer pondering the matter anyway. the outskirts were still relatively safe. Lu Yi had streaks of white clouds swirling around him as he ran towards the wasteland. After Lu Yi made a breakthrough into the Foundation establishment realm, his speed increased even more. In just a moment, he had traveled several dozen kilometers. It was at this time that Lu Yi heard a rumbling noise coming from afar and felt powerful fluctuations of spiritual energy. It was cultivators fighting. Lu Yi raised his eyebrows and moved towards the direction of the battle. Before long, Lu Yi had gotten close to the area of conflict. He saw that there were 6 cultivators chasing and trying to kill 2 other cultivators. And those 2 cultivators, Lu Yi recognized them. They were fellow disciples from the White Cloud sect that were with him, one named Yu Jing, the other named Wang Chuanlu. At the moment, both were covered in blood, their auras weak, and their situation did not look good. The 6 cultivators chasing them surprised Lu Yi. With his powerful spiritual power, his memory was naturally not bad, and he had already memorized every cultivator from the other 4 sects that had entered the East Forest ruins. Out of the 6 cultivators, 4 were disciples of the Heavenly Snake sect, and 2 were disciples of the Blood Spirit sect. Why would disciples from these 2 sects be working together? Lu Yi frowned, feeling that something was amiss. However, now was not the time to think about these issues. Lu Yi took a step forward and vanished from his spot, appearing before everyone. The fleeing disciples of the White Cloud sect were stunned to see Lu Yi. Then the short-haired young man on the left, Yu Jing, turned pale and hurriedly shouted, "Junior brother Lu, run! The Heavenly Snake sect and the Blood Spirit sect have allied to kill you in the East Forest ruins, and they are searching for you everywhere in the perimeter." Upon hearing this, Lu Yi quirked an eyebrow. The 6 cultivators behind them, upon seeing Lu Yi, were first taken aback, then their expressions turned to ecstasy. "Lu Yi, we didn't expect to find him so quickly. To come by such luck without effort, encountering him is truly a great achievement. Notify the others quickly." One of the disciples of the Heavenly Snake sect took out a black bug, a finger's length long, squirming in his hand. He opened his mouth and swallowed the bug, his face turning pale. After a moment he smiled. "I've notified them. Some of our seniors are on their way. We'll hold him off so he doesn't escape." Seeing a group of cultivators surrounding Lu Yi, the 2 senior brothers nearby were anxious. "Junior brother, why aren't you running? Hurry up and go, junior brother. If you don't leave now, they'll all be here. Those bastards from the Heavenly Snake sect even brought the mother and child sound transmission bowl specifically to trap you." Lu Yi, seeing his senior brothers so concerned even with their serious injuries, felt a warmth in his heart, as his brethren from the sect were indeed good people. He chuckled softly. "Don't worry, senior brothers, there's nothing to worry about." He had initially thought that looking for the Blood Spirit sect disciples would be troublesome, but now it seemed there was no need to bother. Fishing right here would be much easier. Chapter 121-87, Gathering from All Sides. The disciples from Heavenly Snake sect and Blood Spirit sect, wary of Lu Yi's strength, did not advance but simply encircled him. After all, Lu Yi was the legendary cultivator at the Qi Cultivation realm who could trigger heavenly tribulation. Even though he had only broken through to the Foundation establishment realm a year ago, he was not to be underestimated. They didn't believe they could secure a definite victory with just the people present. As long as they could delay time until the arrival of stronger sect members, the overall situation would be settled. Hearing Lu Yi's fearless words, a disciple from the Blood Spirit sect sneered, "Lu Yi, you are highly talented, but an unripe genius is just a common person. Wait till our brother Tian Hen from the Blood Spirit sect arrives, and you shall meet your end." A disciple from the Heavenly Snake sect chimed in, "Hey, our brother Qin Luo has been groomed by the Supreme Elder since birth. His strength is immensely powerful. I hope you can maintain this attitude when he arrives." The taunting from the 2 disciples left the 2 disciples from White Cloud sect increasingly uneasy. Lu Yi, however, did not pay them any attention. Seeing that his 2 senior brothers were severely injured, he took out 2 bottles of elixirs and handed them over. "Don't worry, senior brothers, it's all right. These are white jade pills that can heal injuries. Please use them first." Lu Yi handed over 2 bottles of elixirs to the 2 senior brothers. The white jade pill was a healing pill for those in the Foundation establishment realm. Lu Yi had obtained the elixir recipe from the trial tower and had already mastered it to the extreme level. With his current mastery of alchemy, including several limitless elixirs, crafting a Foundation establishment elixir took not much time. After all, alchemy was such that once understood, its cultivation was not difficult and generally allowed for analogical learning. Seeing the elixirs handed over by Lu Yi, the two senior brothers hesitated for a moment, but still took them, slightly startled. Junior brother Lu, you are exceptionally strong, but Blood Spirit Sect and Heavenly Snake Sect also have their top geniuses. If they gang up on you, it will be very dangerous. Perhaps you should withdraw first. Wang Qianlu couldn't help but speak up. Yu Jing nodded vigorously. They all knew of Lu Yi's formidable strength, having reached level 23 in the Trial Tower, but Blood Spirit Sect and Heavenly Snake Sect also possessed top geniuses, and Lu Yi's time in the Foundation establishment realm was ultimately too short. Yu Jing opened the jade bottle, planning to heal his injuries first to avoid lagging behind when escaping later. Right then, a rich fragrance of the medicine floated out, revitalizing his spirit. Yu Jing's eyes widened in shock. This elixir, top grade. No, even top grade doesn't have such potent effects. Is this a perfect quality white jade pill? Meanwhile, Wang Qianlu, who was still trying to persuade Lu Yi, was dumbfounded. A perfect white jade pill. Both brothers were somewhat flabbergasted. A perfect level elixir, was it even something they could consume? How many top-grade elixirs could it be sold for? Even the 6 disciples from Blood Spirit Sect and Heavenly Snake Sect, who were surrounding them, looked on greedily. They never expected that what Lu Yi casually took out would be a perfect elixir. For a cultivator at the Foundation establishment realm, a perfect white jade pill was essentially an extra life. Was Lu Yi really just giving it away like that? Lu Yi smiled. It was a fortuitous gain. I couldn't make much use of it myself, so you two seniors take it. The two senior brothers felt deeply touched. I've always heard that junior brother Lu is generous and upright. Seeing this today, I can't help but admire you, said Yu Jing. Explore more stories at Empire. Wang Qianlu looked deeply at Lu Yi and swallowed the elixir. Don't worry, junior brother. Your senior brothers will definitely stand by your side. You are the most talented disciple of White Cloud Sect, the future of our sect, and we can't let anything happen to you here. Yu Jing also swallowed the elixir. No sooner had they ingested the elixirs than they felt a warm current flowing within. The intense pain quickly subsided, and their wounds visibly began to scab over. They were both utterly astounded. Having never used a perfect elixir before, they had not expected its effects to be so potent. Not just them, the 6 Foundation establishment disciples were green with envy. Damn, a perfect elixir. To think it's wasted on 2 doomed people, what a shame, lamented a disciple from Heavenly Snake Sect. Another disciple from Heavenly Snake Sect, eyes glittering with greed, looked at Lu Yi. This kid just casually took out a perfect elixir. How many more treasures does he have? With these words, all 6 cultivators, breathing grew heavier. Their eyes filled with intense desire as they looked at Lu Yi. Lu Yi smirked. Weren't you waiting for your sect seniors to come? You want to take me on directly, want to give it a try? Seeing Lu Yi's confident demeanor, a few disciples exchanged glances, feeling somewhat uneasy, and began communicating through secret transmissions. It seems he has something to rely on. Could he be holding back a trump card? He is not afraid of us. It seems his strength is quite extraordinary. After all, he's an immortal seed. His strength is exceptional. Should we wait some more? Wait for what? He casually took out a perfect elixir. He must have even better things. Think about the treasures on him. Don't you want them? But many disciples' eyes flickered, their greed growing more intense. Let's give it a try. With so many of us, are we really afraid of him? Let's do it. Even if he's an immortal seed, he has only just broken through to the Foundation establishment realm for a year. He can't turn the heavens upside down, can he? If we kill Lu Yi and divide his treasures, it will also be a great achievement. Chapter 122, 87 Gathering of All Parties 2. Read exclusive adventures at Empire. Damn it, let's go all out. A group of disciples showed eager anticipation in their eyes. A disciple from the Heavenly Snake Sect rushed toward Lu Yi, roaring, "Kill!" In his hand was a long saber that whirled with trails of green mist, a mist that smelled faintly sweet and was highly poisonous. However, Lu Yi had been eating jade bamboo roasted chicken daily, so his resistance to poison was considerably strong. Such poison was useless against him. As this disciple of the Heavenly Snake Sect took the lead, the other disciples also surged forward. Junior brother Lu will help you. Seeing that 6 cultivators had already made their move, two senior brothers from the White Cloud sect couldn't wait to continue healing and got up, intending to join the fray. Lu Yi's expression remained calm, without the slightest change. He casually placed his hands on the shoulders of the two senior brothers from White Cloud sect and pushed them back down. The two of you should rest properly. With a casual flick of his finger, a golden sword chi flashed by, piercing through the forehead of the disciple from the Heavenly Snake sect who rushed forward the fastest. The disciple's eyes still held a hint of shock as his body heavily fell to the ground. Lu Yi's face was expressionless as he pointed repeatedly, firing off streaks of golden sword chi. In almost an instant, he killed several disciples from the Heavenly Snake sect and the Blood Spirit sect, sparing only the disciple who had just swallowed the mother and child sound transmission bowl. The disciple from the Heavenly Snake sect saw his fellow sect members, and those from the Blood Spirit sect cut down in a blink and widened his eyes, full of terror. He screamed and turned to run. Lu Yi reached out with his hand, and the cultivator felt an irresistible force binding him and hurtling him toward Lu Yi. Soon, this disciple from the Heavenly Snake sect found himself before Lu Yi. Lu Yi looked at the cultivator with a helpless expression. You know, you really should have just waited here quietly. Instead, you went looking for death. The cultivator's face was pale, his expression full of terror as he looked at Lu Yi like he was looking at a monster, unable to utter a word. You. Lu Yi's face wore a gentle smile. Now, report the location, and have your Heavenly Snake sect's Qin Luo as well as Blood Spirit sect's Zhu Tianhin come over. Lu Yi had just issued a task to kill the disciple from the Heavenly Snake sect. Just kidding, if they dared to attempt to kill him, he certainly wasn't the kind to not fight back. The cultivator's face showed fear, stunned by Lu Yi's strength, and he nodded repeatedly. Behind Lu Yi, the two senior brothers saw that he was actually waiting for the disciples of the Heavenly Snake sect and the Blood Spirit sect to come over, exchanged a glance, and looked worried. Junior brother Lu, are you really planning to wait for them all to come? Yu Jing asked with concern. Yes, junior brother, that Qin Luo may not have a notable reputation, but being concealed by the Heavenly Snake sect for many years, he must have exceptional talent. And that Zhu Tianhin has a notorious reputation, extremely powerful, and it is even rumored that he has killed a golden core fifth-layer cultivator. Wang Chuanlu also spoke up. Lu Yi raised an eyebrow, somewhat surprised. Zhu Tianhin had managed to kill a golden core fifth-layer cultivator. It seemed that he, too, could be a genius who had broken through the Heavenly Tao limitation, with extraordinary strength indeed. However, he was only slightly surprised. He chuckled lightly. You two seniors needn't worry, just focus on healing. Wang Chuanlu and Yu Jing exchanged a glance, their faces wearing a wry smile. How could they possibly focus on healing under these circumstances? While Lu Yi quietly waited, cultivators scattered in various areas outside the East Forest ruins discovered the movements of the Blood Spirit sect and Heavenly Snake sect immediately. In a desolate wilderness, a youth with short white hair and a delicate appearance, slender and frail-looking, was confronting an exotic beast with the lower body of a fierce tiger and the head of a serpent. The breath of the beast was formidable, having reached the golden core realm, terrifyingly powerful. The delicate-looking youth maintained an expressionless face while his slender, fair palms clasped in the air. A huge hand of ice emerged from the void, instantly enveloping the exotic beast within it. The beast roared in fury, bloodlight circulating around its body as its momentum surged. It lunged from side to side, desperately trying to break free from the ice hand's confinement. But the ice hand seemed to lock down space itself, closing in step by step. The beast's space to maneuver dwindled, eventually completely gripped in the hand of ice. Crag, crag, crag. The ice hand tightened ceaselessly, and streaks of blood seeped through its cracks until it finally shattered. The beast within had turned into chunks of blood soaked with an intense chill. The delicate-looking youth's expression did not change. He strolled forward and picked a dark black flower that the exotic beast had been guarding. At that moment, a young man quickly approached and landed in front of the delicate-looking youth. Elder brother Han Yu, it seems something big has happened. Han Yu turned around, face still expressionless, and asked, what happened? The young man said, the Heavenly Snake sect and the Blood Spirit sect have teamed up, intending to hunt down White Cloud sect's Immortal seed. It seems that the Immortal seed has been found, and right now, disciples of both sects are rushing there. Upon hearing this, Han Yu's calm face finally showed a trace of emotion. White Cloud sect's Immortal seed. He had heard months ago about White Cloud sect having an immortal seed, who, just upon breaking into the Qi cultivation realm, had triggered a heavenly tribulation. With unmatched immortal talent, even the supreme elders of Cold Winter Valley were impressed, predicting 1,000 years of prosperity for White Cloud sect. This made Han Yu equally curious to witness for himself this immortal seed's capabilities. Han Yu pondered for a moment, then asked, "Where are they?" "The disciples from the Heavenly Snake sect and the Blood Spirit sect are heading toward Dark Moon Forest, so they must be there," the young man replied. "Let's go take a look." They. Meanwhile, in a valley filled with blossoming flowers, Yunzai wandered among them, a radiant smile on her face. Chapter 123, 87, Gathering from All Sides 3. "Over here," Yunzai asked the flowers beside her. "Find your next reed at Empire." The flowers swayed as if sentient. Yunzai smiled and walked forward. Before long, she arrived in front of a pond where a snow-white lotus flower was blooming, emitting bursts of strange sounds. "Lucky me, such a large white jade lotus probably has a medicinal age of hundreds of years," she mused. Just then, a huge monkey covered in crimson fur descended from the sky, roaring furiously at Yunzai. Yunzai, still smiling, said, "Little monkey, would you let me have this white jade lotus?" The giant monkey roared and charged at Yunzai, clearly refusing. Yunzai's smile remained unchanged. The surrounding flowers swayed, and strands of fragrance drifted around. Soon after, the giant monkey's body softened, and he lay down on the ground, slowly falling asleep. Yunzai chuckled, "It's not easy to grow so big, so I won't kill you." She gracefully moved closer to the white jade lotus, gently caressed the flower and chuckled, "Be good, I'll only take the seeds, it won't hurt." The white jade lotus, seemingly sentient, voluntarily spat out its seeds one by one, falling into Yunzai's hands. Yunzai collected the seeds, smiled slightly, and with a flick of her delicate hand, a stream of green light melded into the white jade lotus. "This is a thank you gift." The white jade lotus absorbed the green light and immediately shimmered with radiant brightness, shaking its roots repeatedly. Yunzai, still smiling, waved at the white jade lotus, "Goodbye then." Yunzai took a step and turned to leave. She had just walked out of the Valley of Flowers when two disciples from the 10,000 Flowers sect landed. One of the disciples quickly began, "Sister Yunzai, there's been a major event. The Heavenly Snake sect and the Blood Spirit sect have joined forces to kill the immortal seed of the White Cloud sect." Yunzai blinked, curious. "The immortal seed, huh? I heard from Grandma that he seems very powerful. Can he truly become an immortal in the future?" One of the 10,000 Flowers sect disciples scoffed, showing some disdain. "There are plenty of people with talent, but how many of them can truly become immortals?" However, no matter what, the immortal seed's talent must be exceptional. Otherwise, it wouldn't have triggered the Qi cultivation thunder tribulation. Another disciple from the 10,000 Flowers sect added. Yunzai narrowed her eyes and smiled. "Then let's go and see." "Are you planning to check out that immortal seed, Sister Yunzai?" Yunzai, grinning, replied, "Not really, I'm going to kill Zhu Tianhen. Didn't he kill one of our sisters from the 10,000 Flowers sect last time?" While speaking, Yunzai took a step, and what seemed like a mere step bridged an immense distance, appearing far away in an instant. After a few more steps, she had disappeared. The two 10,000 Flowers sect disciples had just regained their composure when their expressions changed. "Oh no, we didn't tell Sister Yunzai the location. Sister Yunzai is still so reckless, hurry and follow her. Can we even catch up? Stop talking and just go." In the Dark Moon Forest, Luya sat leisurely by his side, with a fire pile before him roasting a piece of golden meat, exuding a rich aroma. Next to him, Yu Jing and Wang Chuanlu were sitting cross-legged, healing themselves, but it was evident from their continuously gulping throats that they were swallowing their saliva. On the other side, a disciple from the Heavenly Snake sect was bound all over, numbly watching Lu Yi with a trace of residual fear on his face. However, when he saw that golden roasted meat, he couldn't help but swallow. It wasn't really his fault, the roasted meat was just too fragrant. The disciples from the Heavenly Snake sect were utterly speechless. Why did this immortal seed possess such excellent spirit food cooking skills? This roasted meat was clearly spirit food, and moreover it was top grade. Otherwise, how could such an extraordinary fragrance exist? Lu Yi flipped the meat again, casually infusing strands of spiritual energy into it, activating the latent spiritual energy within the meat, and sprinkled some of his homemade seasoning. Satisfied, he smiled and said, "It's almost ready to eat." Yu Jing and Wang Chunlu opened their eyes at the same time, staring at the roasted meat. Seeing their expressions, Lu Yi chuckled and asked, "How have you brothers recovered from your injuries?" Yu Jing gratefully replied, "Thanks to Junior Brother's perfect white jade pill, I've almost fully recovered." Wang Chunlu said seriously, "It's just that I feel a bit weak. I might need to replenish my nutrition." Lu Yi laughed, "You brothers should also have some of this roasted meat." "Thank you, Junior Brother." The two of them had been waiting for these words, and eagerly awaited Lu Yi to distribute the roasted meat. Lu Yi gave each of them a portion. Yu Jing took a bite and suddenly his eyes lit up. He looked at Lu Yi in surprise and said, "Junior Brother Lu, I didn't expect your talent to be unparalleled and you could even cook such spirit food." Lu Yi smiled and said, "I practice it in my spare time." The two exchanged looks, each seeing the same sorrow in the other's eyes. It's really frustrating to compare oneself with others. Not only does he have better cultivation talent, but the spirit food he casually cooks is also so effective. Who can you even complain to about this? The two looked at each other and kept silent, focusing on their meal. Lu Yi glanced at them, smiled, and then turned to look at the forest to his right. There were faint waves of energy hidden there. If it weren't for Lu Yi's strong spiritual power, he might not have noticed them. They lingered in the distance and did not approach, but they emitted a faint hostility towards Lu Yi. They must be from the Blood Spirit sect and the Heavenly Snake sect, just thinking they are not strong enough, so they are waiting in place. Lu Yi glanced at the numb-faced disciple from the Heavenly Snake sect lying on the ground, his lips curling into a smirk that was not quite a smile. The intelligence must have been leaked by this guy. But Lu Yi didn't really care, as long as Qin Luo and Zhu Tianhen weren't scared off. Lu Yi thought about it. Qin Luo and Zhu Tianhen, being geniuses, definitely had a lot of confidence in themselves. Scaring them off would probably be difficult unless Lu Yi showed absolute strength. And dealing with the other disciples from the Blood Spirit sect and the Heavenly Snake sect didn't require his absolute strength. With that in mind, Lu Yi was not worried anymore and calmly waited for the big fish to bite. Just then a presence approached rapidly. Lu Yi raised an eyebrow, somewhat surprised. It was a somewhat familiar presence. Soon, Jiang Fan, with a grave expression, flew over quickly from a distance. Lu Yi was a bit surprised. "Brother Jiang Fan, what brings you here?" Chapter 124, 88 Peerless in the Mortal World. Chapter 125, 88 Peerless Mortal 2. However, his heart remained calm, and he even felt like laughing. It would be best if they all came together, then I could deal with them all at once. While a few were drinking and eating meat, the disciples of the Heavenly Snake sect and Blood Spirit sect in the distance wore ugly expressions. Damn it, they're really taking their sweet time. HMPH, oblivious to their impending doom. Do they really think they're invincible just because they triggered the heavenly tribulation in the Qi cultivation realm? Wait until Senior Brother Tianhen arrives. He'll turn that bastard into a blood puppet and make him suffer for eternity. How much longer until Senior Brother Tianhen and Senior Brother Qin arrive? Soon, the East Forest ruins are vast, and both brothers are rushing here at full speed after receiving the message. This is a perfect opportunity. If we can kill Lu Yi here, the White Cloud sect will surely be deeply grieved, ha. The disciples of the Heavenly Snake sect and the Blood Spirit sect communicated through voice transmission. In another area not too far away, Han Yu and 3 disciples of Cold Winter Valley were also looking at the merry Lu Yi and his companions from a distance, their expressions varying. A beautiful female cultivator from Cold Winter Valley sneered with disdain. This Lu Yi is truly less impressive in person than his reputation suggests. What's he doing eating and drinking at a time like this? With formidable enemies at his doorstep, even if he's confident, he should be adjusting his state. A young man nearby nodded slightly, frowning. Such underestimation is the easiest way to capsize. Even an immortal seed is still human. If his life is cut short, then it's all for naught. Another disciple turned to the calm-looking Han Yu and asked, "Senior Brother, what do you think?" Han Yu gazed deeply at Lu Yi in the distance, shook his head slightly. "I can't see through his cultivation base. He must have practiced a very powerful concealing breath secret skill. However, since he is an immortal seed with outstanding talent, he's unlikely to be a fool. He must be absolutely confident." Upon hearing this, The three disciples' expressions changed slightly. Senior brother thinks that Lu Yi is absolutely confident he can take on both Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo. How could that be possible? Senior brother Tianhen, you fought a battle with Han Yu and were evenly matched. Even if Lu Yi is stronger, could he be stronger than you, senior brother Han Yu? Exactly, no matter how strong his talent is, it's only been a year since he broke through to the Foundation establishment realm. Even as an immortal seed, doesn't he need time to grow? And you listened to the three disciples, his face remaining calm as he shook his head. I can't see through him. Perhaps he has a trump card. The three disciples fell silent. Meanwhile, not far away, Yunzai and two disciples of the 10,000 Flowers sect were on the move. A 10,000 Flowers sect disciple complained, "Junior sister Yunzai, if you don't know the way, can't you move slower? We've been chasing after you for quite a while." The other disciple nodded again and again. Exactly, exactly. Yunzai smiled awkwardly. Hee, isn't that why I'm going back to find you? Don't be angry, junior sisters. Next time I definitely won't leave you behind. Huh, what a delicious smell. Her expression changed slightly and she stepped forward, moving towards the distance. Junior sister Yunzai. The two 10,000 Flowers sect disciples looked confused. Didn't you just say you wouldn't leave us behind? The two hurriedly followed, read new adventures at Empire. However, this time, they didn't have to go far before they saw Yunzai. But when they saw where Yunzai had stopped, their expressions changed. Yunzai was now standing in front of Lu Yi, eyeing the wine in his hand. Her face beamed with a smile. I'd really like to drink this wine. Could you sell me some? I'll pay. The two 10,000 Flowers sect disciples covered their faces in despair. Not this again. Even though junior sister Yunzai always does as she pleases, that's Lu Yi. Isn't she about to run into Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo? The two exchanged glances and quickly rushed over. Lu Yi and his companions had been eating when Lu Yi suddenly caught sight of something surprising in front of him, and then he saw the green figure of Yunzai appear out of nowhere. Lu Yi remained calm, but the others were not so composed. Yunzai's sudden appearance, utterly without warning, startled them all, and they rose to their feet, shocked at the sight of her. Yujing stared intently at Yunzai, the Yunzai of the 10,000 Flowers sect. Wang Qunlu murmured, such quick flea arts, when did she appear? Zhang Fan glanced at Yunzai, then at Lu Yi, furrowing his brow slightly. Junior brother Lu, what do we do? Seeing everyone tense, Yunzai smiled. I mean no harm, so don't be nervous. Then she looked at the concentrating spirit dew in Lu Yi's hand, her smile sweet. I'd really like to drink this wine, could you sell me some? I'll pay. Everyone's faces turned stiff, betraying a hint of awkwardness. Lu Yi also felt awkward as he looked at Yunzai, saying speechlessly, Taoist Yunzai, do you not recognize me? Yunzai replied with a smile, of course I recognize you, Lu Yi, the immortal seed of the White Cloud sect. Grandma says you're very powerful. Lu Yi chuckled, I'm here waiting to have a decisive battle with Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo. You coming to buy wine from me isn't really appropriate, is it? Yunzai blinked, looking at Lu Yi. What does your decisive battle have to do with me buying wine? I just want to drink some of this wine. I feel it's very powerful. Lu Yi raised an eyebrow, surprised at her strong spiritual sense. But what kind of logic was this? He was about to engage in battle, and she came to buy wine, treating his spot like a tavern. Lu Yi was at a loss for words, but laughed. Sorry, this wine isn't for sale, Immortal Yunzai. Please return. Chapter 126-88. The Best in the World 3. Yunzai frowned slightly, a hint of disappointment in her voice. Not for sale. Then she looked at Jiang Fan and the others nearby. Then why can they drink it? Wang Qunlu, standing beside her, said helplessly, We are junior brother Lu's fellow sect brothers, and we are about to go into a bloody battle. He felt a surge of sorrow in his heart. This might be their last meal. Why couldn't they have a drink? Yunzai turned to Lu Yi, and Lu Yi smiled. They are my senior brothers, and they are willing to stay and fight alongside me. Yunzai fell silent for a moment, then smiled. I cannot join the White Cloud sect, otherwise my grandmother would be angry. However, I can recognize you as my junior brother, and I will also stay to help you fight. Will you offer me some wine? Lu Yi. Jiang Fan. The others looked at Yunzai with odd expressions, their minds full of question marks. They exchanged glances, and the same thought emerged in their minds. What's with this woman? Is she seriously ill? Just then 2 10,000 Flowers sect disciples rushed over, having just heard Yunzai's last words. Their expressions stiffened, nearly tripping over themselves. Taoist Yunzai, what are you saying? Yes, Taoist Yunzai. Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo are key figures in the Blood Spirit sect and Heavenly Snake sect. You represent our 10,000 Flowers sect. Your staying here carries significant meaning. Taoist Yunzai, let's leave quickly. A 10,000 Flowers sect disciple, as if facing a fierce tiger, grabbed Yunzai intending to leave. Another disciple from the 10,000 Flowers sect with an apologetic face gave Lu Yi a slight smile. Mr. Lu, Taoist Yunzai is naive. Please don't take her words seriously. Our 10,000 Flowers sect will not be enemies with the White Cloud sect, but we also don't want to be involved in this conflict. As the 10,000 Flowers sect disciple pulled her away, Yunzai protested. I stayed to confront Zhu Tianhen. I was planning to kill him anyway. The 10,000 Flowers sect disciples were greatly troubled. One of them spoke. Taoist Yunzai, there are so many people watching here. He is the young master of the Blood Spirit sect. If you kill him, a battle between the Blood Spirit sect and the 10,000 Flowers sect will be inevitable. Yunzai frowned, about to speak, but another disciple interjected. If you do this, Taoist Yunzai, the sect leader will be angry. Hearing this, Yunzai's expression stiffened, and although still reluctant, she spoke no further. Lu Yi, watching Yunzai's retreating back, thought for a moment and then smiled. Taoist Yunzai, wait a moment. Hearing this, Yunzai turned around to look at Lu Yi, while the two other 10,000 Flowers sect disciples watched him warily. Mr. Lu, our 10,000 Flowers sect does not wish to involve ourselves in this matter. Mr. Lu, surely you don't intend to force us to stay. Seeing the wary expressions of the two 10,000 Flowers sect disciples, Lu Yi couldn't help but laugh, saying, You have misunderstood. Lu Yi took out a jar of wine and tossed it to Yunzai, chuckling. Taoist Yunzai is straightforward by nature. Today, I offer this wine as a token of friendship. Lu Yi thought to himself, I must defeat Yunzai. Enjoy more content from Empire. Task: defeat Yunzai. Reward: 30 drops of myriad spirit dew, a tuft of natural realm. Accept yes, no. Indeed, Yunzai possesses the 10,000 Flowers spirit body and is exceptionally talented, with a high cultivation base. The reward for the practice task is substantial. It amounts to 30 drops of myriad spirit dew, and it should be noted that even in the trial tower, surpassing 30 levels and defeating a cultivator at the Golden Core 10th layer only yielded 10 drops of myriad spirit dew. Moreover, there's also a tuft of even more precious natural realm. Although he currently had little interaction with Yunzai, making friends with her would always provide a reason to challenge her in the future. For him, a jar of concentrating spirit dew was not much to give. Making friends was instead greatly beneficial. Yunzai accepted the concentrating spirit dew, looked down at the wine, glanced at Lu Yi and smiled brightly. Thank you, I think you're a good person. Let's be friends from now on. Lu Yi. The statement somehow felt odd to hear. However, Lu Yi's objective had been achieved. He smiled slightly and turned to the two 10,000 Flowers sect disciples. Immortal maidens, please take your sister away. The disciples of the 10,000 Flowers sect, seeing that Lu Yi was not making things difficult, all sighed in relief. One of them smiled at Lu Yi and said, Thank you, Mr. Lu, for your understanding. She exchanged glances with the other disciple, and the two dragged Yunzai away. They didn't stop until they were a significant distance from Lu Yi. One of them let out a slight sigh of relief and said, Fortunately, Mr. Lu is broad-minded and didn't make things difficult for us. Otherwise, we would have gotten into trouble this time. The other 10,000 Flowers sect disciple also nodded, then looked at Yunzai with some helplessness. Sister, can't you be more cautious in the future? With the current situation and considering who Mr. Lu is, you really shouldn't have pushed things at such a sensitive time. Yunzai took out the concentrating spirit dew, chuckled and said, But I have a feeling about this wine, it's really good. With that, she opened the jar and poured 3 cups using a jade wine cup. Let us taste it. The two 10,000 Flowers sect disciples were somewhat surprised. Do we get some too? Yunzai nodded and said with a smile, Of course, drinking this will benefit you. Knowing Yunzai's character, the disciples exchanged glances and nodded, accepting the offer. After drinking the wine, the two disciples were shocked, their eyes widening. This wine, it can actually enhance spiritual power. Spiritual wine from the Qi cultivation realm can enhance spiritual power. This must be extremely precious. Chapter 127, 88 Absolute Masterpiece in the Human World 4. The two stared at each other, somewhat in disbelief. Such precious wine, and Mr. Lu just gave it to Taoist Yunzai. Yunzai had also drunk the wine. She smiled and said, "Indeed, my feeling was right, this wine is very precious. Lu Yi is very kind to have given me a jar of it." The two glanced at Lu Yi in the far distance, feeling somewhat ashamed. "Mr. Lu is willing to give away such precious wine, yet we have shown no gratitude. Continue your journey on empire." This time, with Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo acting together, I wonder if Mr. Lu can escape unscathed. The two sighed but did not dare to join such a dispute on their own, as it was a major issue that could easily lead to a sect war. Even more, they looked at Yunzai with some concern. Knowing Yunzai as they did, if Lu Yi were indeed in danger, Yunzai was very likely to step in and help. Yunzai noticed their gazes and looked in the direction of Lu Yi, laughing. "You don't have to worry, Lu Yi is extremely strong. Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo might not be his match." Upon hearing this, both disciples of the 10,000 Flowers sect were stunned, staring at Yunzai in shock. "Senior sister Yunzai, you mean to say Mr. Lu's strength has now reached the level of Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo? How could that be possible? Hasn't Mr. Lu only broken through to the Foundation establishment realm a year ago?" Both were disbelieving. Yunzai too was looking in the direction of Lu Yi, a rare serious expression on her face. "I'm not entirely sure, but my feeling tells me he is very strong, extremely strong. I am not his match." "Hiss." The two disciples of the 10,000 Flowers sect both gasped, finding it hard to believe. Yunzai, innocent and with highly accurate spiritual sense, was rarely wrong. If she said so, the odds were that it was true. This left them even more shocked. "Let's see." All three were curious, watching as Lu Yi and the others sat back down to drink and eat meat. The atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive, as if the calm before the storm. Lu Yi was an immortal seed of the White Cloud sect, of significant meaning to the sect, while Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo were likewise prodigies of the Blood Spirit sect and Heavenly Snake sect. The struggle between the three was not merely about their individual victory or defeat, but had already implicated the three sects. If something happened to Lu Yi, the White Cloud sect would definitely be furious. If Zhu Tianhen or Qin Luo were harmed, the Blood Spirit sect and Heavenly Snake sect would likely not sit idly by either. Lu Yi, at the center of this storm, was completely unaware at this moment. Yujing commented with a bit of sarcasm, "Junior brother Lu is really generous, sending a vial of concentrating spirit due to a disciple of the 10,000 Flowers sect." Wan Chuanlu smiled knowingly. "I understand. Taoist Yunzai is indeed divinely graceful. Junior brother Lu's actions are only human." Lu Yi, feeling helpless, said, "My senior sister Liu Ningxuang and junior sister Minju are also divinely graceful. So what? I just find Taoist Yunzai's character interesting." "He, we understand." Yu Jing and Wang Chuanlu both chuckled heartily, and even Jiang Fan smiled knowingly, raising his glass to Lu Yi. "Junior brother Lu is truly talented. I bet Taoist Yunzai holds you in high regard too." Lu Yi. Helpless, how would they know how generous Yunzai's practice task reward was? While they were chatting and laughing, an overwhelmingly domineering aura emerged, followed by a cold laughter. "Laugh, eat, this is your last meal." Jiang Fan and the others' expressions changed slightly. They all turned towards the direction of the domineering aura. A dark golden stream of light flashed, hitting the ground and exploding to form a deep crater. A figure drifted out, a young man clad in dark golden spirit armor, his expression wild. This young man radiated an immensely thick blood qi, and his aura was terrifyingly strong. "Qin Luo." Wang Chunlu took a deep breath and slowly said. This person was Qin Luo of the Heavenly Snake sect. Chapter 128-89, Crushing the Two Great Prodigies. Following Qin Luo's arrival, disturbances arose from afar. Both Han Yu and Yunzai became alert and watched the area intently. Disciples of the Heavenly Snake sect and the Blood Spirit sect, who had been hiding in the shadows, flew towards the area and landed behind Qin Luo. There were as many as 20 people. The 5 sects entered the East Forest ruins, each having 20 slots. With the Blood Spirit sect and the Heavenly Snake sect combined, there were 40 people. Half had already arrived here, and considering that Lu Yi had previously killed 5, the remaining disciples of the two sects were few in number. After landing behind Qin Luo, the disciples of the Heavenly Snake sect and the blood spirit sect felt reassured and began to taunt Lu Yi. Lu Yi, you're truly arrogant. Knowing that senior brother Qin and brother Tianhen are after your life, you didn't flee, and you even dare to stay here drinking and feasting. You clearly don't even know how to write the word death. What about being an immortal seed? You'll still die by our senior brother Qin's hand. Lu Yi, stop struggling. Senior brother Qin will grant you a swift end. Qin Luo glanced at the roasted meat in Lu Yi's hand and the wine beside him. His face darkened slightly, and with a cold smile he said to Lu Yi, "It seems you have not taken brother Zhu and me seriously." Lu Yi responded with a slight smile, "That's not it. I was just bored waiting and decided to do something to pass the time." Bored, Qin Luo was taken aback before bursting into laughter. A dark golden glow circulated around his body, and his pitch-black eyes transformed into yellow vertical pupils. Lines emerged across his face like dragon scales, emitting a more terrifying aura that even stirred up a strong wind, shaking the branches of the ancient trees. Your journey continues on Empire. Everyone present felt as if a large rock pressed upon their hearts, the weight inexplicably oppressive. The cultivators of Cold Winter Valley changed color in shock, saying, "Is that the Heavenly Snake 9 transformations technique of the Heavenly Snake sect? It is said that with each transformation, both the physical body and spiritual energy undergo a dramatic change, greatly increasing one's strength. Legend has it that after the 9th transformation, one can even become a dragon. The Heavenly Snake sect only possesses an incomplete cultivation technique, so to what extent has Qin Luo cultivated it to be this terrifying? With such strength, he might be comparable to a golden core cultivator. Is this still someone from the Foundation establishment realm? Too powerful," exclaimed another Cold Winter Valley cultivator. As Han Yu stared at Qin Luo from a distance, a hint of fighting spirit appeared in his eyes. His skin seemed to turn into ice crystals, emitting an extreme chill. He felt slightly astonished internally and said softly, "To awaken the instincts of my innate ice spirit body. Qin Luo must possess an incredibly strong physique. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to cultivate the incomplete Heavenly Snake 9 transformations to such a level at the Foundation establishment realm. He's a formidable opponent." After paying close attention to Qin Luo, Han Yu then turned his gaze towards Lu Yi. His curiosity piqued, and he murmured, "Immortal seed faced with such an adversary, what will you do?" Elsewhere, two beautiful 10,000 Flowers sect disciples turned slightly pale as they gazed at the distant Qin Luo, who appeared fierce and demonic with his black hair whirling wildly. Their bright eyes were tinged with a hint of horror. "So strong, this Qin Luo is incredibly powerful. Can Mr. Lu compete against him? He won't die here, will he?" Yunzai, looking seriously at Qin Luo, declared, "Indeed, he's very strong, hardly inferior to me." While saying that, she looked towards Lu Yi and saw his expressionless face, which confirmed her belief. Qin Luo should not be a match for Lu Yi. Really? The two 10,000 Flowers sect disciples were both surprised as they looked at Lu Yi. "You two just watch." Zhang Fan and his two companions felt the aura emanating from Qin Luo, their faces slightly pale. Yu Jing said with a rueful expression, "Junior brother Lu, can you manage this?" Wang Chuanlu spoke earnestly, "Should we run now? I just don't know if we can still get away." Zhang Fan had already silently taken out that ancient white bottle, looking tense as he watched Qin Luo. Lu Yi's expression remained calm as he spoke softly, "The three senior brothers need not worry." Looking at Qin Luo, he chuckled and said, "Where's Zhu Tianhen? Why hasn't he come? By yourself, you're a bit lacking." Qin Luo narrowed his eyes, and a vicious gleam flashed through them as he retorted with a cold laugh, "I hope your strength matches your sharp tongue." In the midst of speaking, Qin Luo stomped on the ground, and with a boom, fissures appeared on the surface. Blood qi surged around his body like billowing smoke, pouncing towards Lu Yi with a ferocity akin to a fierce beast. Lu Yi smiled faintly, "Body cultivation. Perfect, I will try my body refining techniques as well." As he spoke, streaks of thunder flashed around him, and mysterious thunder patterns emerged on his skin. Heavenly Thunder Jade Body Technique. Lu Yi also stomped on the ground, charging towards Qin Luo. The vitality around both men surged, distorting the space around them and unleashing a primal, terrifying force. Qin Luo clenched a fist, its edge flickering with dark golden light as he punched towards Lu Yi. The punch stirred up a terrible storm, with the fist itself shining as bright as the sun. Lu Yi reached out to grab Qin Luo's fist. Boom! Upon impact, A ring-shaped shockwave spread in all directions, cracking the bark of ancient trees, shaking their branches and causing leaves to flutter down. The ground beneath their feet caved in, creating a depression several meters across. Luya firmly blocked Qin Luo's punch. After the clash, Luya pressed in, his left knee like a war hammer striking heavily towards Qin Luo's chest, with terrible energy spilling out and white mist surrounding them. Qin Luo transformed his punch into a palm, slapping it on Luya's knee. Using the momentum, he leapt into the air, his right leg whipping towards Luya's head like a lash, producing a piercing sonic boom. Chapter 129-89, Crushing the Two Great Prodigies 2. Chapter 130-89, Crushing the Two Great Prodigies 3. Junior brother Lu probably didn't use his full strength at all during the trial tower. Yu Jing opened his mouth and said, however, if junior brother Lu had used his full strength, couldn't he have obtained more resources? Yang Fan glanced at Yu Jing with a profound look and said, junior brother Lu is a direct disciple of the Ling Luo Peak Master, and he already has access to various resources. He doesn't lack these. Yu Jing and Wang Chuanlu both fell silent, feeling as if their hearts had been pierced harshly. The battle between the two had turned hundreds of meters around them into ruins. Trees were shattered one by one, the ground was riddled with craters, and storms gathered amidst them, cutting through the air like blades, terrifyingly formidable. No one dared to step into it. Their battle continued for a moment, when suddenly an unbridled laughter rang out. Ha 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 ha, Qin Luo, is this the extent of your strength? You can't even take down a junior who just broke through to the Foundation establishment realm a year ago. It is laughable that you are hailed as a once-in-a-millennium genius of the Heavenly Snake Sect. At these words, the disciples of the Heavenly Snake Sect in the distance turned their furious glares in that direction. When they saw who was coming, many disciples' expressions changed slightly. The newcomer was Zhu Tianhen. Zhu Tianhen was also holding three heads in his hand, with the eyes of the deceased remaining wide open, showing fear and reluctance. Boom! A thunderous roar erupted as Qin Luo and Lu Yi clashed once again, both retreating from the impact. With an unsightly expression, Qin Luo coldly glanced at Zhu Tianhen and said, this person is extremely strong. You wouldn't fare any better even if you intervened. Zhu Tianhen curled his lips in disdain and said, trash always makes excuses. Qin Luo, with spiritual energy coursing around him, coldly said, Zhu Tianhen, are you seeking death? Zhu Tianhen laughed out loud, just kidding, brother Qin, don't take it seriously. He looked towards Lu Yi in the distance, smirked, and shook the heads in his hand, tossing them towards Lu Yi. Here's a welcome gift for you, just ran into them on the way and took care of them. Lu Yi had noticed the heads in Zhu Tianhen's hands as soon as he arrived. These three were brothers from the White Cloud sect who had come along with Lu Yi, with whom Lu Yi had even sparred before, one of them being Yu Ling, the second ranked among them. Seeing that Zhu Tianhen threw the three heads over, Lu Yi reached out, and a strand of gentle spiritual energy supported the heads, gently placing them on the ground. Yang Fan and the other two rushed over behind Lu Yi, and upon seeing the three heads, Yu Jing's eyes turned red. Brother Fang. One of them was his good friend. Wang Chuanlu and Jiang Fan also had glacial expressions, staring daggers at Zhu Tianhen. Zhu Tianhen's face bore a fearless smile, ignoring the murderous intent from the three. He gestured, cutting his neck towards Lu Yi, and said with a laugh, you're next. A female cultivator from Cold Winter Valley frowned slightly and said, looking at Zhu Tianhen is so bloodthirsty and arrogant, isn't he afraid of attracting massive karma? Han Yu's expression was calm as she indifferently said, the blood spirit sect's cultivation techniques focus on devouring essence blood as their core principle, which inevitably affects the cultivator's nature. The disciples of the blood spirit sect are mostly bloodthirsty and murderous. Such a cultivation technique is simply an evil skill. Yunzai, on the other side, watched Zhu Tianhen with anger in her eyes, grinding her teeth. I want to kill him. He murdered several of our 10,000 Flowers sect sisters last time. Two 10,000 Flowers sect disciples quickly held Yunzai back. Sister Yunzai, don't, you can't go over there now. Lu Yi crouched down, looking at the three heads, and closed their eyes, sighing softly. Three senior brothers, just wait a moment, and I will send this guy down to accompany you. Hearing Lu Yi's words, Zhu Tianhen laughed wildly. You, really, don't make me laugh, I have a low threshold for humor. Lu Yi didn't pay any attention to Zhu Tianhen and turned to Jiang Fan and the others, speaking softly. Seniors, Please take care of these 3 brothers' heads for me. Enjoy more content from Empire." Yu Jing nodded and collected the 3 heads. Then they glanced at Lu Yi, and seeing his icy gaze, the 3 of them inexplicably felt a chill and quickly retreated towards the distance. They sensed that Lu Yi was probably a little angry. Lu Yi turned around and looked at Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo. Zhu Tianhen's smile was wild as he said, "Is the farewell over, ready to meet your end?" Lu Yi's expression remained calm and he said, "I've been waiting for you all to gather, now I can finally send you on your way." Hearing this, both Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo had frosty expressions. "Courting death. Ignorant fool, I'll turn you into a blood puppet." Both men had spiritual energy swirling around them and were about to charge at Lu Yi. Just then, Lu Yi's body suddenly condensed golden sword lights that soared into the sky. As the sword light cut through the air towards the 2 men, the space itself twisted where it passed. The 2 dramatically changed expressions and roared in anger. Qin Luo's spirit armor shimmered with dark golden light, shielding his body. Meanwhile, a blood-colored spiritual pearl appeared above Zhu Tianhen's head, shedding blood lights, forming a blood-colored barrier in front of him. Nevertheless, it was futile. The golden sword light was incredibly sharp, containing nearly 50% of Lu Yi's sword intent along with the immortal sword Qi from the returning True Realm, effectively unstoppable. Almost instantly, 3 sword Qi pierced through the dark golden shield, shattering it, and the sword light sliced through Qin Luo's spirit armor, cutting him into pieces. 4 other sword lights penetrated the blood barrier and entered Zhu Tianhen's body. When the sword Qi exploded inside, he was shredded into a mist of blood. The Heavenly Snake Sect and Blood Spirit Sect disciples watching from afar were stunned, their eyes wide with shock. "Senior Brother Qin." "Impossible, Brother Tianhen." Then the crowd snapped back to reality and turned to flee, but in the next moment, numerous golden sword lights swept across, slaughtering all the disciples of the Blood Spirit Sect and the Heavenly Snake Sect. The entire forest was engulfed in silence. Whether it was Jiang Fan and his group in the distance, or the few from Cold Winter Valley further away, or those from the 10,000 Flowers sect, they all stared at Lu Yi with eyes wide in astonishment. Chapter 130-190. Over 10,000 drops of myriad spirit dew. The atmosphere fell silent, and a female cultivator from Cold Winter Valley with a slight tremble in her voice spoke up. "How is this possible? Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo were so powerful, how could they not even withstand a single move?" Another cultivator chimed in. Lu Yi had just broken through to the Foundation establishment realm a year ago, right? His strength is terrifyingly potent. Han Yu's face stiffened, slightly pale, staring intently at Lu Yi. The other disciples sensed something was amiss and turned to look at Han Yu, worry brewing in their hearts. "Junior brother Han Yu." Snapping back to reality, Han Yu replied, "I'm fine." But the other disciples noticed that Han Yu's fingers were subtly trembling. They exchanged glances but dared not say more. On the other side, Xianxia and her 2 companions were equally astonished. 2 10,000 Flowers sect practitioners stood agape. Mr. Lu is actually this strong." The strength of Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo was not weaker than that of senior sister Xianxia, yet they couldn't even block a single move. Their shock was immense. Xianxia stared straight at Lu Yi. "My feeling was indeed right, he is frighteningly powerful. I'm a bit scared." One 10,000 Flowers sect practitioner stuck out his tongue. "It's good we didn't clash with Mr. Lu just now, otherwise it would have been hard to de-escalate." Another cultivator nodded in agreement. After Lu Yi killed the disciples of the Blood Spirit Sect and the Heavenly Snake Sect, he stepped forward to pick up their interspatial rings. Just then, a blood-red bead abruptly soared into the air, transforming into a streak of light, speeding off into the distance. Lu Yi narrowed his eyes and his body turned into thunder, vanishing from the spot, instantly appearing in front of the blood-red spiritual pearl. He reached out, sealing the surrounding space, and drew the blood-red spiritual pearl into his hand. The blood spirit bead struggled fiercely, and within it, Lu Yi could see the soul of Zhu Tianhen. At that moment, fear and a hint of madness were etched on his face. Lu Yi raised his eyebrows slightly, and a smile appeared on his lips. Interesting. To think a mere Foundation establishment cultivator could preserve his soul after the body was destroyed. Is it because of this blood spirit bead? The blood spirit bead shook even more intensely, and fear deepened on Zhu Tianhen's face as he bellowed, "Let me go at once. I am the young master of the Blood Spirit Sect. If you kill me, there will be a great war between the Blood Spirit sect and the White Cloud sect." Upon hearing this, Lu Yi chuckled. "Isn't there already a great war between the Blood Spirit sect and the White Cloud sect? Besides, you are already planning to kill me. Do you think I would let you go?" Lu Yi's spiritual energy surged, and a wisp of immortal sword qi infused into the blood spirit bead, instantly obliterating Zhu Tianhen's soul. Lu Yi looked at the dimmed blood spirit bead, pondering the interesting natal spiritual treasure and wondering if there was a way to protect his soul like Zhu Tianhen had. He would consider this matter later. Lu Yi stored the blood spirit bead, then proceeded to collect the interspatial rings of the Heavenly Snake sect and Blood Spirit sect disciples. The dark golden spirit armor on Qin Luo was actually a decent treasure, but unfortunately, it had been shattered by a direct strike. Lu Yi had used the 7 mysterious sword skill of the returning True Realm, coupled with 50% of the sword intent from the immortal sword scripture of the returning True Realm, which possessed even greater power than he had anticipated. It had been quite some time since Lu Yi had used such tremendous power, and he hadn't quite grasped it. Gazing at the shattered dark golden spirit armor, Lu Yi sighed softly. That's a bit of a pity. Nevertheless, the materials could be recycled, sold for a sum of money, or perhaps repaired with other heavenly materials and earthly treasures if the opportunity arose. Lu Yi decided to pick up the spirit armor as well. At that moment, Jiang Fan and his 2 companions approached. They looked at the corpses on the ground, their expressions still carrying a hint of confusion, as they had yet to come to their senses. Jiang Fan looked at Lu Yi with a complex expression and chuckled bitterly. "Junior brother Lu, your strength." He shook his head. "I thought I had progressed quickly and could perhaps get a bit closer to you. I hadn't expected that your advancement would far exceed your senior brothers. Discover more stories at Empire." Beside him, Yu Jing and Wang Qianlu had even more complicated expressions. Wang Qianlu said expressionlessly, "I finally understand why junior brother Lu was not at all panicked. With such strength, I wouldn't be either." Yu Jing gave him a glance. This guy hadn't reacted like this earlier. Lu Yi chuckled lightly. "Senior brothers, the matter is resolved." Yu Jing sighed softly and said, "It's a pity about brother Fang and the other 2. Hearing this, Lu Yi also fell silent for a moment. He spoke, "It's a shame that Zhu Tianhen's body was shattered. Otherwise, it could have been used for a memorial for the 3 senior brothers." Yu Jing smiled. "The path of immortality is fraught with danger. Our 3 senior brothers were simply unfortunate. The fact that you avenged them must be comforting." Lu Yi nodded slightly and said no more, his heart feeling somewhat heavy. Mortals always envy cultivators, who can fly to the heavens and escape into the earth, live long and prosper, but how would they know of the dangers that cultivators also face? Perhaps everything is well one day, and the next, they encounter an unforeseen calamity. Without sufficient strength, one could never truly be free. Lu Yi reflected on this and became even more determined to diligently cultivate. Only with formidable strength could he protect himself and those he wished to protect. At this time, several streaks of light swiftly approached. Lu Yi turned his head to see Han Yu leading several Cold Winter Valley disciples flying over, and on another side, Yunzai led 2 10,000 Flowers sect disciples towards them. Lu Yi's expression was calm. He had already detected the presence of Han Yu and his group. After all, most of their cultivation was based on ice attribute magic skills and techniques, which had a different aura compared to the Heavenly Snake sect and the Blood Spirit sect. With Lu Yi's perception, he could still discern the difference. Chapter 132-90. Over 10,000 drops of myriad spirit due to. Several people landed and looked at Lu Yi with lingering shock in their eyes. Looking like a beautiful white-haired young man, Han Yu glanced at the corpses on the ground and gazed deeply at Lu Yi before speaking. "Taoist Lu's strength is astonishing. The supreme elders of our sect were right. White Cloud sect will flourish under your guidance." Yunzai's beautiful eyes sparkled as she smiled and said, "Lu Yi, you are truly amazing." Lu Yi chuckled lightly. "You both give me too much credit." Han Yu shook his head. "However, by killing Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo, the efforts of both sects over more than 2 decades are destroyed in an instant. This will likely affect the White Cloud sect." Lu Yi nodded slightly, then helplessly said, "They wanted to kill me. I could only fight back. What's done is done." Han Yu didn't say much more, knowing that after Lu Yi had killed Qin Luo and Zhu Tianhen, the region governed by the Qingzhou 5 sects was likely to be in turmoil. especially since the Blood Spirit sect had been clashing with the White Cloud sect recently, and with this incident on top of that, a full-scale war between them seemed inevitable. Han Yu chuckled lightly. Taoists lose carefree nature and sense of honor make you worth befriending. Unfortunately, I cannot speak for Cold Winter Valley, otherwise, I would have been willing to assist you. Having your good intentions is enough to make me happy, replied Lu Yi. A serious Yunzai chimed in from the side. Once I go back, I'll tell Grandma that our 10,000 Flowers sect will help you fight the Blood Spirit sect. The two 10,000 Flowers sect disciples beside her slightly changed their expressions and quickly, gently tugged at Yunzai. Their elder sister was speaking out of turn again. Lu Yi didn't mind and simply expressed his gratitude to Yunzai. He laughed lightly. You both are quite strong. If we have the leisure, we could spar and exchange views. In his heart, Lu Yi issued himself the task of defeating Han Yu and discovered that the rewards for the task were quite generous. 20 drops of myriad spirit dew and a strand of the heart of ice. It must be said that as a chosen one, the task rewards were indeed excellent. Naturally, Lu Yi was also willing to build a rapport with Han Yu. A few more exchanges and his heart of ice would also take off. Hearing Lu Yi's words, both Han Yu and Yunzai nodded in agreement. Boom! Just as the group was conversing, suddenly a deafening roar sounded. An incredibly terrifying aura spread out, causing even Lu Yi's face to pale slightly and his chest to feel somewhat heavy. The others were even more shocked, their faces pale. What's going on? Zhang Fan exclaimed in shock, looking toward the direction from which the noise originated. It's coming from the central area of the ruins. Shocked beyond belief, an expression of astonishment appeared on Han Yu's normally calm face. Lu Yi and the others soared into the air, floating above, and the sight before their eyes made them freeze. The central region of the East Forest ruins, previously shrouded in thick blood fog, was now illuminated by terrifying blood-red lights. The blood fog was churning as if demons were wreaking havoc within it. An immensely powerful presence slowly rose from the midst of that bloodlight, as if a terrible demon was awakening. Perhaps due to the anomaly in the central region, one after another, fierce beasts and exotic beasts containing a terrible aura burst forth from the inner area, roaring as if they were fleeing from something. Lu Yi spotted the golden giant bird he had encountered upon first entering the ruins. The giant bird let out a mournful cry as it fled from the inner region, only to be swallowed whole by an even larger exotic beast. The fierce beasts on the outskirts were in a frenzy, as though they encountered something formidable, showing great unease. What is that? Everyone was tremendously alarmed. Boom! Another roar sounded, heavier than before. Someone let out a muffled grunt, their face turning pale. Lu Yi also felt a chill running through his entire body, his blood almost congealing, as if he had encountered a top predator. It's all over, the ruins are in an uproar. Many disciples turned pale, their faces filled with horror. It's been said that there are powerful beings inside. With so many powerful exotic beasts, some even at nascent soul realm, there could be even more formidable beasts. If these beasts escape, what are we going to do? At this moment, Zhang Fan and the others all looked to Lu Yi. Junior brother Lu, what should we do? Yunzai and Han Yu, as well as others, also looked to Lu Yi. Lu Yi's expression was a bit stiff. He had not encountered this situation before. How was he supposed to know what to do? Lu Yi felt quite distressed. Why hadn't others who entered the ruins before ever encountered such a situation? Such bad luck. Lu Yi then said, the exotic beasts from the inner area have broken out. It's no longer safe on the outskirts. Let's head to the escape land in the north. As long as we last 10 days, we can get out. The others exchanged glances and then nodded slightly. At this moment, Yunzai spoke with some concern. What about the other junior sisters? Everyone fell silent. They didn't have the mother and child sound transmission bowl like the Heavenly Snake sect, and even the communication jade was unusable within the ruins. The only reason they were here was because they had followed the movements of the Blood Spirit sect and the Heavenly Snake sect disciples they had encountered. Those disciples who hadn't followed either had kept their distance or had not run into them at all. Find exclusive content at Empire. Now, with no means of contact, they simply couldn't reach the others. Han Yu spoke up. If they have any brains, they will head that way too. Perhaps we'll run into them along the road. We can't find them, so all we can do is go there first. Lu Yi added, fellow Taoist Yu is right. If we can meet them, that's best, and if not. The group fell silent and then moved back into the forest, turning into streaks of light as they headed north. They dared not fly in the sky. The sky was filled with powerful, fierce beasts, and even Lu Yi felt he might be in danger if they attracted their attention, let alone the others. Chapter 133:90. Over 10,000 drops of myriad spirit do 3. Owl. It had not been long since they took flight when an angry howl reverberated through the air, as a giant wolf exotic beast, its body covered in black hide, pounced towards the group. A streak of golden sword light flashed by, and the exotic beast was instantly pierced through the skull, falling to the ground. Lu Yi stood at the forefront of the team, forging the path for everyone. As time went on, the fierce beasts they encountered grew increasingly powerful, to the extent that they had even come across beasts of the Golden Core realm. The group, watching Lu Yi's silhouette, felt grateful. Lu Yi single-handedly blocked the majority of the fierce beasts, slaying those with powerful strength at the first opportunity. Even Han Yu could not help but be emotionally moved. Looking at Lu Yi, he spoke, "Taoist Lu, you must have consumed quite a bit of your spiritual energy. Do you need to rest? I can also lead the way." Yunzai nodded in agreement. "I feel the same, Taoist Lu. Our strength is not weak either. You don't need to do this." Lu Yi cracked a slight smile. "My cultivation technique has reached the returning true realm, which is extremely profound. My spiritual energy recovery rate is very fast. There's no need for concern. Discover more stories at Empire." Joking aside, these were all rewards from their kills. How could Lu Yi possibly give up? In this short period, Lu Yi had already collected more than 300 drops of barbaric beast essence blood, and nearly 1,000 drops of myriad spirit dew. This was myriad spirit dew, nearly 1,000 drops. Enough to make even divinity transformation cultivators jealous. Lu Yi's heart was brimming with joy, his expression utterly resolute, determined not to yield his position at the front of the pack. Seeing this, Han Yu and the others felt even more moved. Soon, everyone burst out of the forest and arrived in the wasteland. Some parts of the wasteland were dark red, as if saturated with blood from an ageless past. Other areas were still littered with fragments of weapons, relics from ancient battlefields. Some of these ancient weapons still retained spiritual energy, and there were even tales of space rings left behind by ancient powerhouses, suddenly skyrocketing to the heavens. Regrettably, they did not have the luxury to stop and search at the moment. After reaching the wasteland and with an unobstructed view, the group's gaze swept across the terrain, looking deep into the ruins. They then glimpsed a strange black shadow flitting within the blood fog, emitting an unknown demon nature. Seeing that shadow gave Lu Yi goosebumps, and his hair stood on end. Outside the blood fog, a massive number of fierce beasts were running out, nearly forming a beast tide, causing everyone's faces to change. "We must not be swallowed by this fierce beast tide, or our lives will be unpredictable." Just then, everyone sensed the fluctuations of spiritual energy from a distance. They turned their heads and saw around a dozen cultivators gathering and moving forward. "It's other people." The group's faces lit up with joy. Lu Yi immediately spoke out, "Charge over there." His eyes flashed with a sharp light, as Immortal sword Qi fired in rapid succession, slaying all the exotic beasts blocking their way with no equal. In just a moment, Lu Yi had carved a path through the hordes of Golden Core and Foundation establishment exotic beasts and reached the other cultivators. Among those cultivators were disciples of the White Cloud sect, along with those from Cold Winter Valley and the 10,000 Flowers sect. Upon seeing Lu Yi, followed by Han Yu and Yunzai, their faces brightened with happiness. "Junior brother Lu," called out Xianxia from the crowd. Lu Yi saw the 4 White Cloud sect disciples gathered together, all covered in blood, though it was unclear whether it was from exotic beasts or their own. Lu Yi nodded and said, "Everyone gather together, let's leave this place." Xianxia and the others joined the group, and then Lu Yi once again surged forth, forcibly carving a path through a swarm of Golden Core and Foundation establishment exotic beasts. Seeing this, the cultivators who had just arrived were flabbergasted, their eyes nearly popping out of their sockets. The strength displayed by Lu Yi was overwhelmingly powerful. But the situation was grim, so no one had the luxury of contemplation. Everyone hastily shielded themselves and followed Lu Yi's steps, charging out of the swarm of beasts. After that, they rescued a few more cultivators, charged through the wilderness, crossed marshlands, and after a taxing half-day journey, they arrived at a desolate mountain range. All were exhausted, their spiritual energy significantly depleted, except for Lu Yi, who still retained a considerable amount of strength. The immortal scripture of the returning true realm enabled a constant emergence of spiritual energy, coupled with his spiritual energy vortex built using Taoist energy. As long as the battle wasn't too intense, he would hardly run out of energy. Although the battle was fierce, it wasn't unbearable for Lu Yi. Boom! Another thunderous sound erupted, whitening the faces of everyone. Several cultivators, nearly drained of spiritual energy, coughed up blood and staggered to the ground. We can't hold on much longer, the group's faces turned pale. Even Han Yu and Yunzai were gasping for air, their spiritual energy depleted significantly. Just then, from deep within the blood fog, the demon-like figure abruptly disappeared as if it had never existed. As the demon-like figure vanished, the intense aura from the depths gradually dissipated. As the aura faded, all exotic beasts gradually calmed down and stopped their frenzied behavior. Seizing the opportunity, Lu Yi and the others made their way to a narrow valley, finally getting a chance to catch their breath. Everyone sat on the ground, gasping for air, their eyes still filled with terror. "I thought I was definitely going to die here today. I can't believe we actually survived," one of them said. "What on earth was that within the blood fog? I've never heard of such a thing before," wondered another. The crowd was abuzz with discussion, yet no one knew the cause of the strange phenomena within the depths of the blood fog. After a short rest and as their breath steadied, Han Yu approached Lu Yi, clasping her fists in gratitude. "Thank you, Taoist Lu. If it weren't for you, we might have died here today." Yunzai also smiled charmingly. "Thanks to Taoist Lu Yi, you are truly amazing, to have killed so many exotic beasts." The others, coming to their senses, also expressed their gratitude to Lu Yi. Taoist Lu is incredible. His strength is such that even a cultivator at the peak of the Golden Core realm might not compare. He truly is the legendary Immortal seed. The disciples were grateful and simultaneously awestruck. It should be noted that it had only been 1 year since Lu Yi broke through to the Foundation Establishment realm. Even the disciples from White Cloud sect were no exception. Xianxia looked at Lu Yi, her beautiful eyes sparkling as she smiled. "Thank you, junior brother Lu. There's no way I can repay you for saving my life. If there's anything you need, just let me know." Lu Yi laughed helplessly. "You are too courteous, senior sister." He responded to everyone with a smile, but inside he was exceptionally thrilled. Throughout the journey, Lu Yi had killed countless exotic beasts and had obtained more than 10,000 drops of myriad spirit dew. With so much myriad spirit dew, it was more than enough for Lu Yi to cultivate for a long time, perhaps even allowing him to advance directly to the Golden Core realm. For the short term, there seemed to be no need to worry about resources. Lu Yi felt that coming to the East Forest ruins was truly worthwhile. Although there were some twists along the way, they were still within an acceptable range. It was at this moment that a cultivator exclaimed, "Look at the sky." Everyone suddenly looked up to the sky. Their expressions changed immediately. In the air, which was previously quite clear, a faint red mist started to spread slowly. Chapter 134-91. The Demon Clan appears. What is going on? The crowd was in an uproar, the discussion buzzing. This fog, it kind of resembles the one that occasionally emerges from the scorched earth of the outer sect. There's no danger, is there? Han Yu and Yunzai were also on guard, their expressions tinged with worry. Yunzai looked at Lu Yi, "Taoist Lu, with the emergence of this unknown anomaly at the East Forest ruins, what should we do?" The others also turned their attention toward him. Lu Yi's strength was astonishing, having saved them all. At this moment he almost became everyone's pillar. Facing everyone's gaze, Lu Yi was also somewhat speechless inside. It was his first time here as well, and his first time experiencing this sort of situation. How could he possibly know what to do? However, no matter what, he too wished to leave, and to do so, heading to the escape land was definitely needed. After contemplating for a while, Lu Yi spoke up. "Regardless, if we want to leave, we need to head to the escape land. Let's first investigate whether this blood fog poses any danger, and after we've recuperated, we can continue northward." The crowd exchanged glances and nodded in agreement. That seems to be the only way. Taoist Lu is right. No matter what, we need to make our way to the escape land if we want to leave. Han Yu nodded slightly. "Since that's the case, let's start by recuperating first. The sudden appearance of the red fog might indicate unknown dangers. Upon hearing this, everybody stopped pondering and began to recover their strength. Lu Yi sat cross-legged, looking up at the sky, not deeply immersed in recovery. His spiritual energy was automatically replenishing, and it was nearly fully restored. He was somewhat concerned about the potential unknown dangers lurking within the red fog. Lu Yi's eyes swept over everyone. Because he had continuously rescued quite a number of people, there were now roughly 50 cultivators present. Apart from disciples of the three great sects, there were also several loose cultivators. Loose cultivators were only allowed in after the disciples of the 5 sects had entered. Seeing a few here didn't surprise Lu Yi. However, these were probably all the cultivators left in the East Forest ruins. That earlier beast tide was too terrifying, and there were even faint traces of nascent soul energy among them. Leading everyone, Lu Yi had fought his way through, barely evading the location of the nascent soul strange beasts, and even then he had killed quite a few golden core strange beasts. The others didn't possess Lu Yi's kind of strength. Facing the mighty exotic beasts, they would likely have been overwhelmed and swallowed up. Lu Yi sighed softly to himself once again, unlucky indeed, but at least his strength was passable. At that moment, Lu Yi suddenly paused, glancing at the 50 or so cultivators here, a daring idea coming to mind. He muttered to himself, "I will save these people and get them out of the East Forest ruins." Task: rescue the cultivators from the East Forest ruins, with a reward depending on the number of people saved. Accept yes, no. Lu Yi's spirits lifted inside, a task triggered from this. Not bad at all. Lu Yi immediately felt a burst of motivation. With the deaths of Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo, the disciples of the Heavenly Snake sect and the Blood Spirit sect should have mostly perished. Once they got out, the 2 tasks he had taken on previously could probably be settled. What kind of reward would there be? Suddenly, Lu Yi had another thought, silently musing. I want to leave the East Forest ruins. Task: leave the East Forest ruins. Reward: Golden Core Realm Spiritual Wine Recipe, Jade Wine. Accept yes, no. As expected, Lu Yi was pleasantly surprised. He hadn't imagined that just leaving the ruins once would trigger 2 tasks. Wonderful. Moreover, the task reward was a recipe for spiritual wine. Up to now, Lu Yi only had the recipe for concentrating spirit dew, and finally, he had a second one. This was a Golden Core Realm spiritual wine recipe, just right for his current use. Lu Yi felt satisfied, happily accepting the task. Just then, Lu Yi's mind began to wander. It was as if he had traversed through endless time, arriving at an ancient epoch, surrounded by continuous mountain ranges, the sky filled with countless human cultivators standing firm. On the other side, numerous demons cultivators soared aloft. Kill. The leading human cultivator was enveloped in a thick halo, like a banished immortal descending. He charged, leading the cultivators towards the demons. A seductive yet cold voice came from the demon cultivators, the leader shrouded in a halo of dawn light, unidentifiable in form, not inferior in presence compared to the immortal-like cultivator. Kill. The 2 groups of cultivators charged at one another. The sounds of battle never ceased. Cultivation treasures filled the skies, spiritual energy surged, and blood stained the heavens. With soaring battle intent and killing intent, Lu Yi's heart boiled, almost driven by the urge to tear the heavens and the earth apart. Just then, inside Lu Yi's dantian, the whirlpool of 7-colored spiritual energy started to turn slightly, and a Tao sound emerged. His spirit vibrated, and he abruptly regained clarity. Opening his eyes, he felt the sudden rise of energy around him. Looking around, he saw that the cultivators who were supposed to be recovering now had eyes red with frenzy, as if trapped in an illusion realm, their spiritual energy circulating, preparing to attack. Lu Yi's face changed. The Blood Slaughter Illusion Realm. This was the Blood Slaughter Illusion Realm, encountered on the scorched earth outside the ruins. And the potency of this Blood Slaughter Illusion Realm far exceeded the one outside. All these cultivators were completely immersed in the illusion realm. Even Han Yu and Yun Zai were not exempted. However, Han Yu's skin was like frozen jade, emitting extreme coldness, while around Yun Zai, hundreds of flowers bloomed, releasing a refreshing fragrance. Both were resisting the illusion realm unconsciously, faring better than the rest. The remaining cultivator resisting was Jiang Fan. Water mist swirled around him, and an ancient white bottle emerged from his body. Layers of mystic water enveloped Jiang Fan within. Chapter 135-91. The Demon Clan appears too. Lu Yi looked at Jiang Fan with some surprise. Truly befitting of Brother Jiang, even other cultivators at the peak of the Foundation establishment were nearly fully succumbed to the illusions. Yet he, merely at the Foundation establishment third layer, was almost on par with Han Yu and Yunzai. Lu Yi took a deep breath, spiritual power surged from his brow, and he shouted, "Awake." His voice resonated like the striking of evening drums and morning bells, his spiritual power vibrating in tandem with his spiritual power, shaking the consciousness of the other disciples. Instantly, a group of cultivators jerked awake, showing signs of regaining alertness. Yunzai was the first to wake up. She opened her pure eyes, looked around cautiously, and upon seeing Lu Yi she breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. "Lu Yi, was it you who woke me up? You've saved me once again." Lu Yi smiled. "It was but a trifle, Taoist Yuns, I need not mind it. Besides, even without me, you probably wouldn't have been lost in it." Yunzai shook her head seriously. "My grandmother always taught me to reciprocate kindness." Seeing Yunzai's serious expression, Lu Yi smiled helplessly. "Taoist Yunzai doesn't have to be so concerned." Yunzai still shook her head. She pondered for a moment, then said, "People often say that one should commit themselves in return for a life-saving grace. How about I become your Taoist couple? Although we don't have feelings for each other, I think you're quite good." Lu Yi. He froze, his expression stiff. Was this really happening? Cough, cough. Just then a cough sounded. Lu Yi turned his head and saw that Han Yu had also woken up. His face, as beautiful as that of a woman, was as serene as ever. "Did I wake up too early?" Lu Yi shook his head seriously. "No, you woke up just in time." Otherwise, he didn't know how to respond to Yunzai's words. This woman's thought process was quite preposterous. Han Yu chuckled softly, looking at Lu Yi. "I am a man, so I won't promise myself to you in return. But for this life-saving grace, if you need anything in the future, just come to me." Lu Yi. So they were still stuck on this topic of committing oneself as recompense. Lu Yi laughed helplessly. "Fellow Taoist Han Yu is too courteous. It was just a small effort on my part." Han Yu shook his head calmly, without further ado. Not long after, Jiang Fan came to his senses, which surprised Yunzai and Han Yu as they looked at him. A cultivator at the Foundation establishment third layer was able to regain consciousness so quickly, which surprised them both greatly. Jiang Fan tucked away the white bottle, exhaled a breath of stale air, looked at Lu Yi and smiled. "Thanks to you, junior brother Lu." Lu Yi smiled. "Brother Jiang doesn't need to be polite." Jiang Fan nodded, no longer saying much. Lu Yi had helped him too much already. This time was no different. As more and more cultivators woke up, they all had looks of fear on their faces. Was that just now the blood slaughter illusion realm? Such a realistic illusion, I really felt as if I'd become one of those cultivators. Thanks to Taoist Lu Yi, otherwise, we might have been trapped in the illusion to die within it. One after another, the cultivators expressed their gratitude to Lu Yi. After a while, all the cultivators were completely awake, and Lu Yi also let out a sigh of relief. He was currently on a task, after all. It would be best if no one died, to bring all these people out alive so that his reward would be the greatest. Before long, everyone had recovered most of their spiritual energy. Lu Yi then stood up and said, "We've rested enough, let's move on." Han Yu and Yunzai stood up as well, and the others followed suit. The group left the valley and continued their journey towards the north to the escape land. It wasn't until they left the valley that Lu Yi noticed the surroundings were enveloped by a pale red fog, reducing visibility significantly. This pale red fog also contained killing intent which had persisted from the ancient era, occasionally dragging people into the blood slaughter illusion realm, making it extremely perilous. Fortunately, the Taoist spirit energy vortex inside Lu Yi was exceptionally powerful. Each time he was about to be drawn into an illusion, he would immediately awaken himself and then wake the others, preventing them from falling prey to the illusions. Even so, everyone was still prone to spiritual exhaustion. However, fortunately, as the frightening aura in the core area had faded, exotic beasts were no longer raging, and the number of fierce beasts around was much less than before, making encounters with such beasts less frequent during their journey. For the group, this meant relatively increased safety. However, for Lu Yi it was not such good news. With fewer strange beasts, his task rewards diminished. Fortunately, the amount of myriad spirit dew he had collected was plentiful enough for him to cultivate for quite a while. Moving through the red fog, even Lu Yi could easily get mentally fatigued, as they could not cover much distance in a day and had to find a place to rest. It took them 3 full days to arrive at the north of the East Forest ruins. They reached a desolate burnt land area. The energy of blood and slaughter in this area was even more potent than other regions. Although not as strong as the core area, it was still terrifying. Upon entering this region, even Lu Yi had to proceed with utmost caution because he sensed the presence of many powerful golden core strange beasts, and in the distance, could sense the breath of nascent soul beasts. Everyone moved forward in silence. This is just our bad luck. Usually in the outskirts, we'd only encounter the weaker golden core realm strange beasts at most. Exactly, and now even nascent soul strange beasts are peering around the outer regions. Many murmured complaints in hushed tones, their expressions showing extreme fatigue. Days of continuous travel, together with the sporadic plunges into illusions, experiencing the ancient battles, left them mentally exhausted. Chapter 136-91, The Appearance of the Demon Clan 3. Who knows what mutation has occurred at the core? I'm afraid something major has happened at the East Forest ruins. Yes, with such an incident happening this time, who knows if we'll still be able to enter the East Forest ruins in the future? Everyone wore a look of worry. Some were even a bit concerned whether they would be able to escape from the East Forest ruins at all. Another 2 days passed, and as they made detours along the way, they finally approached the escape land. Just then Lu Yi, who was leading the way, suddenly sensed a powerful aura not far ahead, approaching their direction. This aura did not resemble that of a cultivator, but rather had a strange demonic energy. Han Yu, Yunzai, and others naturally noticed it as well. All their faces underwent a slight change. This aura is a demonic energy. Why would there be demonic energy here? During the shift of expressions among the crowd, 3 figures emerged from the red mist. One of the figures was a burly man over 2 meters tall, with a pair of bull horns. Another figure was a slender woman with a pair of grayish-white wings on her back and soft fuzzy feathers on her face, and the last figure had a tiger's head. Demons. Lu Yi's face showed a slight change, somewhat astonished. He had gathered quite a bit of information about the East Forest ruins before coming here, but he had never known that the ruins housed members of the demon clan. Not just him, the expressions of Han Yu, Yunzai, and others also changed. How is it possible? How could the demon clan exist within the East Forest ruins? While they were astonished, the 3 demons were equally surprised, seemingly not expecting to encounter them. The leading tiger demon frowned. The previous beast tide didn't kill them. So many humans are still alive. How is this possible? They probably hid somewhere and survived the calamity. These members of the human clan are quite lucky. The bull demon coldly swept his gaze over the group, sneering. With a covered mouth, the bird demon let out a crisp laugh and said, "So what? Killing them now is not too late. The prince is about to succeed. Consider it a celebration for the prince." Hearing this, the other 2 demons nodded with cruel smiles on their faces, as a violent demonic energy surged to the sky, swirling within the red mist. Golden Core demons, the crowd's faces changed again. All 3 demons were at the Golden Core realm. Lu Yi, however, had a calm expression. He looked at the 3 demons and asked, "Did you also come from the outside world?" The bird demon scanned over them, giggling. "What a handsome young brother indeed, we came from the outside world." "How is that possible? The entrance to the East Forest ruins has always been under the control of our 5 sects. How could you possibly enter? Moreover, you are already at the Golden Core realm. Why were you able to enter?" A disciple from Cold Winter Valley said incredulously. We naturally have our secret methods. If we want to enter, we certainly can," the bull demon sneered. Lu Yi thought of something, his expression changing slightly as he spoke. "Who is your prince? Could it be related to the change at the core of the East Forest ruins?" Thinking back to the conversation among the 3 great demons, everyone else's expressions also shifted as they gazed at the 3 demons. Clever little human child. This place is where the remains of our demon clan's 9-tailed demon emperor are buried. The prince possesses the talent of the demon emperor and naturally seeks to inherit the power of the 9-tailed demon emperor. Hearing this, everyone's faces shifted. The demon emperor's remains. The great figure of the 9-tailed demon fox is here. We're doomed. Many cultivators turned pale. Even Luya's face changed slightly. The nine-tailed demon foxes standing within the demon clan was comparable to that of an immortal sect Holy Land within the human clan, an extremely powerful demon force. The one in the East Forest ruins was the heir of the nine-tailed demon fox, and with the demon emperor's talent, their innate strength was likely terrifying. Even Lu Yi could not afford to take them lightly. The commotion from the core area earlier had shown how formidable that individual must be. Lu Yi had never expected that the nine-tailed demon emperor, who had fought against the human clan in ancient times, would be within the ruins. Lu Yi's mind replayed the enchanting figure enveloped in a rosy light from his earlier encounter. That great demon must be the nine-tailed demon emperor, right? Seeing the change in expressions on Lu Yi and others, the three golden core demons sneered and closed in on the group, intending to catch them all in one go. Lu Yi took a deep breath, his expression remaining calm, and thought to himself, I must kill these three demons now. Task: kill the three golden core demons. Reward: 1 7-colored nourishing spirit flower. Accept yes no. Upon seeing the reward, Lu Yi's heart leaped for joy, as it was indeed a nourishing spirit flower, a very rare heaven and earth treasure that could nourish the spirit. A nourishing spirit flower could reach the 3-colored level if it survived for 100 years, 5-colored after 500 years, and to reach 7-colored it needed to exist for at least 1,000 years. The medicinal properties contained within it were sufficient to induce a qualitative transformation in Lu Yi's spiritual power. The reward was too good to pass up. Lu Yi quickly accepted the task and then looked towards the three great demons with a light laugh. In that case, we cannot let you escape, lest you go back and fetch more demons. This statement made the three great demons pause, and then they all laughed. Thinking of killing us? Just with you. You are nothing but a group of Foundation establishment cultivators. Kill them. The three great demons released their demonic energy into the sky, each unleashing their own methods. The tiger demon roared, spewing out a large bell that inverted to seal the space, trapping everyone inside and leaving no way out for Lu Yi and the others. The bull demon radiated savagely wild strength with blood as strong as dragons, taking large strides as he charged at the group. Meanwhile, the bird demon took out several grayish-white feathers, which she refined to be as hard as metal, gleaming with a faint light. With a wave of her hand, the feathers pierced through the air, hurtling towards them. All three great demons were golden core powerhouses, incredibly powerful, and their formidable presence turned many cultivators' faces pale, hardly able to withstand the assault. Lu Yi, however, appeared incredibly serene. He stepped forward, wearing flowing white robes, with golden sword lights emerging around him and an undying sword intent radiating outwards. The sword lights took on a life of their own, transforming into beams of gold aimed at the three great demons. The terrible sword intent caused the three great demons' expression to abruptly change. Chapter 137-92, The Power of the Artifact. The sword light swept across the gray-white feathers, instantly grinding them into dust, turning the bird demon's complexion pale as it spat out a mouthful of essence blood, its body turning into a white light as it repeatedly retreated. The next moment, the sword light slashed through the space where she had originally been, distorting the space itself. In another location, the sword light struck towards the bull demon wrapped in yellow light. The bull demon let out an angry roar, its aura billowing like rising smoke, and swung a fist towards the sword light. Boom! Its fist and arm cracked under the sword light, and its more than 2 meters tall sturdy body was sent flying backwards, spilling blood all over the ground. The remaining sword light fell upon the large bell above, ringing incessantly as the bell vibrated with fine cracks appearing on it, and the tiger demon controlling the bell also shook repeatedly, with blood seeping from its pores. The three golden core demons were stunned, staring fixedly at Lu Yi, who was surrounded by strands of golden sword light, appearing as a handsome sword immortal descended from the heavens, full of shock. This sword intent contains a trace of immortal aura. How could a mere Foundation establishment realm human cultivator possess such terrifying sword intent? This sword intent has almost reached 50%. The three great golden core demons were all horrified. As followers of the demon emperor's descendants, they naturally considered themselves geniuses among cultivators of the same level, their strength not to be judged by their own realm, capable of battling high-level golden core powerhouses. Even so, the three golden core demons joining hands were unexpectedly unable to withstand this human of the Foundation Establishment realm's sword. The three great demons exchanged glances, eyes filled with murder. The bull demon let out a low growl, its lifeblood circulating with yellow light surging, bones crackling as it reattached its arm severed by the immortal sword Qi and regenerated its flesh. After catching his breath, he said harshly, "This one must be an abomination of the human clan. He cannot be allowed to live." The tiger demon took a deep breath, eyes wide, staring intently at Lu Yi. To possess such strength at merely the Foundation Establishment stage, he will certainly become a great enemy to His Highness if he grows stronger. Kill him to clear the path for His Highness. The bird demon no longer wore the smile it had before, watching Lu Yi with a serious expression, emitting an aura as sharp as metal, and streams of white light emerged from her body, extraordinarily terrifying. Kill! She was the first to act, vanishing from the spot, transforming into a white streak of light, charging towards Lu Yi. That speed far surpassed the previous Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo, reaching the pinnacle of velocity. Lu Yi's expression remained unchanged. He took a step forward, his body lifting into the air, golden sword light clanged menacingly, the seven mysterious sword skill operating within him as the seven-colored spiritual energy vortex in his body spun, with formidable immortal sword Qi pouring out ceaselessly. The sword light kept up with the bird demon's speed, like a heavenly sword descending, slashing towards her. The bird demon had its vital energy sealed, letting out a sharp cry, conjuring three pitch-black feathers in its hand, shooting them out to collide with the sword light. Clang, clang, clang. The black feathers were sent flying. The bird demon quickly dodged, and despite avoiding the direct sword light, the surrounding sword Qi still sliced her formidable demon body, causing her blood to flow freely. She coughed out a mouthful of blood, feeling the penetrating immortal sword Qi within her body, her eyes filled with horror as she continuously retreated. The golden sword light, however, was relentless, turning to continue slashing towards her. Just then a powerful roar erupted, and the bull demon had finally arrived, holding a dark yellow staff in his hand, emanating a thick and solid aura like the earth itself. He roared over and over, swinging the staff, striking the unrelenting immortal sword Qi. A continuous clanging of metal echoed as the immortal sword Qi was sent flying. But with each collision, the robust body of the bull demon was forced back a distance, his arms trembling, muscles torn, blood spilling liberally. Even with his formidable physique, he was still unable to withstand such power. Meanwhile, the tiger demon also exerted his strength, growling low, the large bell slowly contracting, no longer concerning himself with others, but instead enveloping Lu Yi alone. In the tiger demon's eyes, everyone else paled in comparison to this Foundation Establishment realm human cultivator. Even if it meant letting others escape, he had to kill that human cultivator. The large bell shimmered with a bronze radiance, like a black hole, with a powerful devouring force, attempting to absorb and refine Lu Yi. However, Lu Yi remained unshaken. Thunder patterns emerged all over his body, strands of destructive thunder coiling around him. As the devouring force met the thunder, it immediately dissipated, with Lu Yi standing in the air as if invulnerable, without a ripple. The thunder intent realm. Also nearly 50%. What kind of monster is this? The expressions of the three great demons changed dramatically again, watching Lu Yi in disbelief. Initially, the three great demons thought that Lu Yi was an exceptional sword cultivator genius, who, throughout his life, refined his sword intent to the point that he had achieved a terrifying 50% sword intent at the Foundation Establishment stage. But now what did they see? In addition to the 50% sword intent, this human cultivator also possessed 50% thunder intent. His talent is no less than His Highness. With such talent, he is destined to tread the immortal path. His Highness will face great trouble. We cannot let him live, even if it means our deaths. We must kill him. The three great demons cried out, their murderous intent almost condensing into form, even carrying a determination to die together. Even in opposition, Lu Yi couldn't help but appreciate the loyalty of these three great demons to their master. Unfortunately, they encountered him. Stay tuned to Empire. Lu Yi's eyes sparked with threads of thunder, and a wisp of golden sword mark emerged at the center of his forehead, a sign of the immortal sword scripture being operated to its limit, which is when the immortal sword seal materializes. Chapter 138-92, The Might of the Artifact 2. Lu Yi exerted his full strength to rotate the immortal sword scripture of the returning true realm, unleashing an increasingly fearsome aura. On his golden sword light, streaks of thunder began to attach themselves. At the same time, thunder patterns emerged around his body, resplendent and flickering with purple light, surpassing the anomaly he displayed during his battle with Qin Luo. Enveloped in thunder, Lu Yi charged at the bird demon, his speed even faintly surpassing that of the bird demon. The bird demon's pupils contracted, its wounds not yet recovered, and it hastily retreated. "This way is blocked. Human scum, come and battle Mr. Niu," the bull demon bellowed, blocking in front of the bird demon. Lu Yi smiled faintly. "My sword will keep you company." As he spoke, waves of immortal sword intent wrapped in destructive thunder sliced towards the bull demon. Feeling the overwhelmingly potent aura, the bull demon couldn't help but contract its pupils, prepared for a tough battle, as it was instantly entangled by the sword qi. Lu Yi didn't look at the bull demon and continued to rush towards the bird demon. At this moment, the tiger demon let out a furious roar as a large bell fell heavily, like a mountain collapsing, pressing down on Lu Yi. Lu Yi turned back and landed a punch on the bell, denting its surface. Dong! The sound of the bell echoed through heaven and earth, causing the Foundation establishment cultivators behind Lu Yi to cover their ears in pain. Just this sound wave alone was too much for most Foundation establishment cultivators to withstand. Only Yunzai, Han Yu, and a few others were not greatly affected. Even so, their expressions drastically changed. Han Yu shouted lowly, "Retreat, it's dangerous here." Yunzai waved her hand, and a group of flowers enveloped everyone, rapidly retreating with them. The great bell was shaken into the sky by Lu Yi's punch, and the tiger demon connected to it spat out blood on the spot, his expression one of horror. "How is this possible? My bell once suppressed a golden core 8th layer cultivator." Taking a step, Lu Yi transformed into thunder and caught up to the bird demon. His expression calm, a long sword with copious power of intense sun began to circulate in his hand, the golden light blinding, as if Lu Yi held the sun itself. Lu Yi's spiritual energy surged as he slashed out with his sword. A golden red sword light several hundred meters long streaked across the sky, the heat wave nearly vaporizing the air around, and the red mist even retreated under such might. The sword light crossed the bird demon, which didn't even have a chance to scream before being vaporized. "Yu Kue!" Seeing this, both the bull demon and tiger demon were shocked and horrified. "Run!" They looked at Lu Yi, their expressions changing rapidly before they turned to flee. They transformed into streaks of light heading towards the depths of the ancient ruins. "You can't escape." Lu Yi was even faster than the bird demon, let alone these two golden core demons whose strengths weren't in speed. Lu Yi turned into thunder and quickly caught up with the two great demons. In his hand, the profound sun sword exuded an aura like the scorching sun, and the immortal sword intent he slashed with amplified greatly in power. The several hundred meters long sword light enveloped the two great demons. The tiger demon roared in anger, turning around to throw the great bell at the sword qi, which expanded over 10 meters high, facing the sword energy like a mountain. Boom! Beneath the roar, the great bell was slashed with several cracks by the sword light and spun away. The tiger demon coughed up blood continuously, but didn't dare to pause, continuing to flee. Lu Yi's expression remained stoic as he slashed out with two sword lights, instantly consuming the bull demon and tiger demon, vaporizing both great demons. Lu Yi let out a breath of turbid air, looking at the profound sun sword in his hand. He couldn't help but inwardly exclaim, worthy of being an offensive mid-grade treasure. Its power was truly immense. Even golden core, great demons would be vaporized upon contact. However, the consumption was also tremendously large. Even Lu Yi felt somewhat strained to use this artifact. Moreover, where the sword light passed, everything was vaporized, not even an interspatial ring was left behind. There was basically nothing gained. Lu Yi couldn't help but sigh. If it weren't for the concern that dragging out the battle here too long with too much commotion would attract the attention of other great demons, he would not have wanted to use this artifact. Lu Yi put away the profound sun sword, then gathered up the large bell left by the tiger demon. This bell could be a top-grade magic artifact near an artifact. The material was quite decent. Facing Lu Yi's sword light, it had not been slashed into pieces. Although it was damaged, maybe it could be repaired. This was the only gain from this battle. Of course, that didn't include the task. Experience new tales on Empire. Lu Yi turned his head to look at Han Yu and the others. At this moment, everyone was still somewhat in shock watching Lu Yi, not having recovered yet. It should be known, these were 3 golden core great demons, yet they were each slain one by Lu Yi. Lu Yi flew over and said with a light laugh, "It's over, let's hurry, in case other great demons come over, that would be troublesome." Only then did everyone snap out of their trance, following Lu Yi as they flew off into the distance. Among them, everyone still looked at Lu Yi with shock in their eyes. Han Yu's usually cold face revealed a wry smile as she said, "Taoist Lu, your strength truly goes beyond the ordinary. I originally thought that I had seen the extent of your capabilities, but you've given me such a big surprise." Yunzai's beautiful eyes sparkled as she looked at Lu Yi. Those 3 great demons, each far stronger than Zhu Tianhen and Qin Luo, faced with Taoist Lu, were completely suppressed. Taoist Lu is really formidable. Lu Yi smiled slightly. "Even I had to exert a lot of effort to deal with them. Don't overpraise me, you two." Curious, Yunzai asked, "Taoist Lu, that cultivation treasure you wielded before, like the blazing sun, must be no ordinary magic artifact, right?"